What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook? I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you so much. And I want to talk about the main story of the day, which is the no-fly list. I've heard over the last month or so that people have been being stopped at the airport. A lot of people that they have tried to connect to the Capitol or that were there, that even though they didn't commit a crime there, they're trying to make this into the Charlottesville times 1,000. And specifically today, Nick Fuentes, who I've talked about on here before. We're going to get into it, but he's been put on some sort of no-fly list. And this is very concerning for many reasons, so we're going to talk about it. I'm just going to Wikipedia right now. The no-fly list, it says right here, along with the secondary security screening selection, which tags would-be passengers for extra inspection, was created after the September 9/11 attacks of 2001. So a lot of people saw this coming, I think, in both parties. But, you know, during the George Bush era, when 9/11 happened, everyone was so emotional. So every time someone's emotional and there's a big tragedy, these people who really run our country are able to capitalize on that and use our emotions to take away our freedoms. And that happened on September 11th, where we gave up not only foreign wars, but we also kind of said, well, there's terrorists, you know, we got to go after them with the Patriot Act. And now the Patriot Act is being used against patriots. And it's been happening all year. It's ramping up. We have to talk about it because now you have what was initially for foreign terrorists is now being used on innocent Americans who have yet to commit a crime, who have not committed a crime, and who the government hates. And I'm just going to be as honest as I can. And then I'll go to the second topic. And I'm not, this is just the announcement. I'm not like moving on from that topic. I'm just saying I do the announcement, then I move on. You know, I forget what I was even going to say about it. Oh, as far as the 6th event, they use that as justification to really call half of the countries. I apologize for the little slip up. Half of the country, the people who aren't brainwashed, the people who love the country, who love the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, mostly, I would say 99.99% innocent people, they're using this and calling everybody terrorists. So this is I'm not going to say scary because I don't think fear is the right thing to have, but this is a very concerning thing that's going on, and we have to address it and not just kick the can down the road, because you can't have the federal government and these agencies labeling, I don't know, 150 million people terrorists because they don't agree with them politically. And especially now, you know, you have the health stuff that they're dragging into it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to be honest about it. Someone said, who's Joy Reid? I think she's on, what is it, MSNBC, but I'm going to play 2 clips after I talk about the no-fly list situation. I have a clip of Joe Rogan talking about his idea of, you know, the injection. And then I have Joy Reid talking about it. So without comment, I'll comment on it after. I'm going to play both, and then you decide. Let me know who sounds more normal to you. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but you have the country. I mean, there's nuance in the situation, but you have half of the country, or maybe a good portion of people, who want to live in what I would consider COVID slavery. They want to live with double masks, double jabs, still double masking, running, screaming at people everywhere. And then you have half the country who wants to be left alone. So I don't know if this is reconcilable. I hope it is. But at a certain point, I think we should look towards options of like addressing this, because we're just not living in the same reality anymore. And the more people want to kick the can down the road, the more you're going to be persecuted. And I think that's where the Republicans really screw up. They're just too weak. And with what's happening to Nick Fuentes now, I saw the same thing happen to Alex Jones. When Alex Jones got banned in 2017 or 2018, I tried to explain to people, listen, and I'm not saying this just to pander, I'm saying it just to be honest. Whether you love Alex Jones and he's your favorite commentator and you think he's great, or you hate Alex Jones and you think he's the worst person in the world, you have to understand he helped Trump get elected. Trump went on his show and said, you know, good job, Alex, or whatever. So he was a big deal. I mean, he had over 1 billion views on YouTube. So Trump allowed his biggest, or one of his biggest YouTube supporters, to just get wiped off the face of the internet, and Trump didn't say anything. And I know I say that, and all these people get all upset at me. I voted for Trump. I'm just saying. I mean, if you let all of your supporters get set up by the FBI, labeled terrorists, kicked off the internet, yeah, eventually you're going to lose the election, and eventually you're going to lose the country. So it's not crazy to question why the Republican Party has done nothing. And the same thing's happening with the Patriot Act. You give up your right to spy or to not spy on U.S. citizens under the guise of going after Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and eventually it's going to be used against you. This was always obvious, and it's all coming home to roost. And I have to say, not to play a hindsight game, but I've always been, whether it was Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, Louis Farrakhan, David Duke, whoever you want to name, who was, taken off of Amazon, App Store, whatever, these are people that are, targeted first. I've always tried to tell people it's not about what you think about their opinions or how hateful you think they are in your perspective. They're going to turn against you. This was always obvious. And I saw a lot of mainstream conservatives, play this game. Louis Farrakhan's anti-Semitic. Nick Fuentes is a racist homophobe. Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. Well, not us. We work for the GOP Intelligence Committee. Yeah, well, bro, now you guys are getting censored because once, you give up the First Amendment for those you don't like, you lose it. And that was always obvious. I mean, Noam Chomsky, a left-wing, far left liberal professor, used to know that 30 years ago. And the GOP doesn't even understand that now. So it's really sad what's happening, but we need to talk about it. And before I start, I want to sip on my tea while it's still hot. And I'm not saying this to be a fence sitter. I know sometimes people are like, oh, what are you, a liberal? What are you, Joe Biden? Guys, the Overton window is shifting to a point that's not sustainable. It's not with the COVID stuff, with the no-fly list stuff. I wish I could just vote red. I'm still going to vote Republican all the time. The Democrats can't do anything for me on a local level, and I appreciate what Republicans somewhat do, but they just lose in slow motion. So as I can appreciate that they're not Democrats, I'm not going to just act like it's the be-all, end-all, because it just really isn't. And it's like it's not like a little thing. I talk about like Trump and his FDA approval and Operation Warp Speed and the lockdowns, and everyone's like, oh, you're so hung up on one little thing. I'm like, what planet do you guys live on? I understand we're all caught in our cell phone and we live in different reality. Little thing? Are you kidding me? You're talking about $1 trillion printout bill? Look at the price of lumber. It's going up. Look at the price of food. It's going up. Look at the price of gas. It's going up. That could be attributed to a few things, but food and lumber, you can't just shut down society, folks. It doesn't matter if it's Trump, Biden, if Tennessee tells you they're going to shut down for a year and let you out with a vaccine. Ted Cruz says, oh, now I have a vaccine, I can be free. Yeah, but Ted Cruz, what does that mean if you can't stand up for yourself for a year and you're begging like a little slave, please let me not wear a mask in Congress now that I got my jab? It means that you have no freedom, Ted Cruz. It means that you think in order to get freedom, you're allowed to be held ransom for a year and then, turn around and say, I did everything that you told me to do. Now can I be free? That's the Republican Party. They do everything the left says. They jump through their hoops and say, please, daddy, can I have another? And then they're shocked when it doesn't work out. Because whether you get the vaccine or not, you shouldn't ever submit to this idea that you could be treated this way for a year in order to vaccinate, or else they're going to keep on doing it. I'm going to read Whitney Webb, who I believe is an independent journalist. I'm not even quite sure of her political affiliation. I know she specializes in like the Middle East, and the mainstream media hates her, but she said it very profoundly today. If you think the government will let you go back to normal after their targets are met for COVID vaccinations, I encourage you to study history. Like in the US, where emergency powers tend to stick around forever. Did you guys forget about what happened to 9/11? So this is going to be the perfect segue of what happened on 9/11, how they used emergency powers, how they took away our freedom, how they never gave it back, and how the same thing's going to happen with COVID. And even DeSantis and, all these people who are doing a good job, like shout out to Ron DeSantis, clearly one of the best governors, if not the best. Still, though, I would say if you give everyone masks and make them wear masks, you're not fighting the mask mandate, which was inevitable. And if you give everyone vaccinations like DeSantis, go get it, go get it, go get it. What do you think is going to happen when 50% of your population is vaccinated? It's the same thing as the mask. They're going to switch the no mask, no entry sign with no vax, no entry sign. And we've seen it coming, folks. And I think the digital green passport is being orchestrated in Israel, our greatest ally that we love and give billions of dollars in aid for and pass speech laws in both parties for and can't question. And you're called an anti-Semite if you question them, that Trump bends over for. What do you know? They're the ones rolling out the vaccine passport. Isn't that just weird and ironic considering their history and the fact that, a lot of Jewish Americans that I talk to are, feeling very reminiscent and like this is really messed up. But that's a whole different story. But in general, let's just get into it, folks. I got to get a sip of my tea. Someone asked before I start, it's still too hot. Someone asked if there's a way to jack for the gulags and XL. You get it. This stuff, dreamer.com. I don't know. If it says sold out, it's sold out. I'll buy more. I'll print more. But if it's not there, that means it's sold out. First story I want to talk about is today, Nick Fuentes tweeted that he was on a no-fly list. And I just want to kind of give you guys context because I want to shout out Cassandra Fairbanks, who's a journalist who I like a lot. Not like that. No, I'm just kidding. But in general, Cassandra said, nobody wants to say Nick Fuentes' name. It's like Beetlejuice. Everybody talks about him, but nobody wants to talk to him or say his name. But I've said his name quite a bit on here. And I think I give him and his little crew the fairest shake out of anybody in right-wing media because I think they're always lying about him. And, for context of who he is before we start about it, he's got, I would say, the biggest movement among younger conservatives who are going further right than Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and even Donald Trump. And Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro hate them. All these people that you guys probably follow, Daily Wire, Blaze TV, all the mainstream right-wing stuff, they all hate Nick Fuentes and they all hate his little group, the Groypers. And they all try to tell you, don't look that way. They're racist. They're homophobic. They're whatever. They're anti-Semitic. Don't look at them. Don't talk to them. Just trying to banish them. And then they turn around and tell you on their little, platforms, oh, we're so pro free speech. We're not against cancel culture. There is no such thing as hate speech. They're all liars. And I've been saying this for over a year now. I'm not saying it to be mean. Trust me, I don't need any more problems in my life, or I don't need any more people to hate me. I'm doing fine. But these people are just con artists on the right wing. They speak at campuses and say, we don't believe in hate speech. There's no such thing. And then as soon as they can't intellectually defend themselves against someone like Nick Fuentes, they just call him an anti-Semite, homophobe, racist. So to me, those words just mean I'm not a good debater. I'm not smart enough to defend myself. Even if you're talking about white people, I'm not just going to be like, oh, you're a racist. And then I'm like, hey, guys, I won the debate. See you guys later. It's like that, you guys saw me debate Young Pharaoh. Did I ever call him a racist? No, because you lose the debate when you use stupid words like that. Like, wow, okay. If they hate somebody racially, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, it's such a lowbrow form of like debating. There's a way to make your point without saying that. But in general, he's somebody on the further right. And I think that his crowd, we're going to get into the no-fly list in a second. I think his crowd is misunderstood because whether you agree with them or disagree with them, to me, I said it, I think the other day, it shouldn't be that shocking why they're growing. I would say sometimes Nick Fuentes, he's been banned off so many platforms. He's got way more live subscribers than live viewers than Shapiro. Shapiro has more maybe money and connections and stuff, but like certain live streams, you see Nick pulling 10,000, 12,000, 20,000. Like he's got a huge audience and they're way younger than the normal conservatives, like 19, 18, and they're further right. And everyone says they're so hateful, but I'm just like, why are you so confused why they're going further right? They're getting beaten in the head by like far leftism. Right wing is like really pathetic. So I don't think they feel like it's working because it isn't working. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. I'm myself. I speak for myself. I do my own thing. I'm not anyone else. But is the right wing working? I'll give you an example for Turning Point USA. I'll compliment them first. Turning Point USA, they do really good work on college campuses. They get kids interested, I guess. And, they get conservative women there and, people learn about low taxes and stuff. So they do good work in some elements and they have a really big reach. And I'm appreciative of that. But at the same time, it's like when push comes to shove, my question is, where really were they? I mean, you're talking about socialism, communism, medical tyranny. Over the last year, you've had the complete overhaul of the American system, inflation, trillions of dollars of loans. We got completely screwed and bamboozled with a Republican president and a Republican Senate. And where was Turning Point USA? I'm just going to be honest, regardless of what you think I think about this, I've seen more videos in my feed of Turning Point USA talking about homosexuality in Palestine and the Middle East than I've seen them talking about actual socialism, communism, and medical tyranny in America. It's like, you guys, it's like just like a for show thing. Like, oh, we're conservative just enough to like try to get laid by hot chicks or whatever. Which, I mean, if you're single, I get it. You're trying to find a wife, you're trying to find a girlfriend. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's like, do you believe in anything you claim to believe in? They cry about socialism for 10 years, and then socialism comes to America, and Charlie Kirk folds his hands and says, oh, man, that's just a boogeyman. It's like, it's not really a boogeyman. It's actually here. So it's like, if you want to defend homosexuality in Arab countries, there's nothing wrong with that. But I would say there's a bigger priority in America, which is the medical overhaul of the entire system. And they don't seem to even make any like interesting or intellectual, things about it. So the point I'm trying to get to is when we're talking about Nick Fuentes, the reason he's getting so popular, in my perspective, regardless of what you think about him or how hateful you've heard he is or how hateful you think he is, I think he would destroy Charlie Kirk in a debate. I think he would destroy Ben Shapiro in a debate. I think he would just obliterate 99% of these like fair weather conservatives that just put on an act. And I think they're afraid of him because he's smart. He knows what he's talking about. He's well-spoken. He's funny. And in many ways, he's everything that they're not. Am I 100% on board with everything he's doing? No, I do my own thing. I'm not in his group or gang or whatever you want to call it. But as an analyst, a news analyst who's honest and can take new ideas without calling someone a hateful person, you know, he's popular for a reason. And the younger generation is moving away from the Republican Party because what have they conserved? They're not conserving anything socially. They're not conserving anything financially. I mean, they're just really cutting. It's like, you know, the Democratic Party, this is metaphoric. The Democratic Party will chop off your leg and the Republican Party will chop off to your knee. So it's like, do you want your leg or do you want your, it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to vote for the Republicans. But to be quite honest, I can't say I'm really impressed with any of them. The only one who's really fully impressed me over the last year, or remotely impressed me, Ron DeSantis is doing a pretty good job. Marjorie Taylor Greene is interesting, and she seems to, you know, go against some of the narratives. For the rest of them, I can't lie. I think 90% of Republicans are just weak and just putting on an act and losing. So that's just my backup of who he is, since nobody wants to say his name or talk about him. That's my part. But, you know, he was put on the no-fly list because I'm not really sure. He was at the Capitol. Maybe he did something on a plane. I don't know. I saw him get kicked off or something. I don't know if it was mask or I don't want to start a rumor. I don't know what it was for. I'm guessing it's mostly the Capitol thing because it was a setup one way or another. And, you know, I don't want to name names, but, you know, I shouldn't even do this because it's like people that are irrelevant and not even worth mentioning. I'm going to make them more famous by talking about their name. But it's like, you know, the conservative Latino who I've met, he's like crying and it's like, he's like, normally pretends to be intellectual, but he says it's Trump. It's like, dude, just shut up, bro. Just shut up and listen to my stream. But anyway, you know, like a lot of people who like Trump and conservative, they get so mad that I keep saying that the 6th was a setup event. I'm not saying Trump purposely did it. I don't know if he did or not, but I'm just saying the whole event was a setup. I wasn't even there, and I somehow got involved with it just off the fact that that was the perfect trigger to say, you know what, all those conservatives are terrorists. All of them, we need to put them on the, you know, no-fly list, interrogate them, have the FBI raiding their house, calling them, blocking them. So it was a terrible strategic move. And I've said it for months. I'm like, dude, he's acting like he doesn't know what Mike Pence is going to do. And everybody was buying into it. I didn't go to the Capitol. I said, I'm not going to support a vaccine salesman. I didn't trust him because he lost my trust over those 4 months. Moderna. I thought I was following Bill Gates. I had to blink my eyes. He morphed from Donald Trump, like American superpower, to Bill Gates, the Moderna salesman, which, by the way, you know, Google Moderna, it's jointly owned by the NIH. Trump wasn't fighting Fauci. He elevated Fauci, worked with Fauci, you know, did everything that Bill Gates and Fauci wanted to do, and then left office. And you got to ask yourself, regardless of how much you want to cry, no one thinks you're so intellectual. It's like, bro, shut up. You wish you could do 1/1000th of what I do. It's like, if you shut your mouth and listen to my streams, you might learn something instead of just yabbering, you know, low IQ stuff and impressing like the 5 people who, you know, read your stories, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But in general, you know, if you look at the 6th event, it got his supporters, his organizers, people who are effective in the right wing. It got them all really just caught up and set up. And I don't really think Trump gives a shit about it. He hasn't really said much about it. He did more to, I would say, use the National Guard against his own supporters than he did against Black Lives Matter when they were actually destroying people's neighborhoods. And to be honest, why is the FBI, you know, Director Christopher Wray, God bless his soul, why is he still there? If Trump is such an outsider, how come they're keeping Trump's FBI director? Because he's exactly who they want to be there. So Trump didn't really stir up the intelligence community. He just shuffled it around and put somebody just as bad who hates you just as much as the last person, if not more. So, you know, this idea that people get their feelings hurt when I say that Trump set them up at the Capitol, I'm not saying he tried to start an insurrection. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think he should be charged for that. I'm just saying he's the leader of the right wing. Where did his leadership end you up? I'm just being honest. I know it's going to hurt your feelings and you're going to cry so hard because you don't have a personality for yourself. You know, you got to cling on to what he did and you're lost without his leadership. But it's like, as a leader, I saw him signed the CARES Act, $1 trillion socialist communist scam bill, which forever destroyed America. And he turned around to Thomas Massie, who's a libertarian, smart guy, and he said, kick him out of the Republican Party. Why did Trump want to kick Thomas Massie out? Because Thomas Massie was right. He said, this is the most fraudulent mistake you're ever going to make in U.S. history. He was right. And Trump doesn't give a shit. So, it's like, where did his leadership end you up? He told you to go to the Capitol, and then every great organizer got set up. That's just what happened. I'm not saying he meant to do that, but he got you set up. If I'm the leader of a movement and I tell everybody to come here, why did you guys go there? I'm just being honest. I got called by the FBI. They're trying to bring me into somebody said, you know something about the Capitol. I know nothing about the Capitol. I called Trump a vaccine salesman for 4 months. I didn't trust a single thing he was doing. Not because I don't believe that there's election fraud, because Trump's the president of the United States. He's known about machines for 10 years. Dick Gregory talked about machine, mess ups 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Trump talked about it during Mitt Romney's thing. Everybody knew about, the Dominion company, and even Democrats were questioning it, and not just them, but all machine voting. There's been this fact, and he was honestly the reason that he even had mass mail-in ballots. Georgia, who everybody hates, tried to open the country earlier, or the state, and Trump was mad at them for opening against his lockdown. Trump extended the lockdown past Easter. So you're going to try to tell me to go to the Capitol for a vaccine lockdown salesman who's flailing his arms, acting like he doesn't have direct contact to Mike Pence? Like Lynn Wood's like, oh my God, Mike Pence they're going to tribunal. They're like, oh, trust the plan. And then Trump's like, oh, Pence. I'm not saying Trump meant people to run in the Capitol. I don't think he did, but I would say over 50% of the people there probably thought he still had a chance, So he's the leader, acting like he doesn't have Mike Pence's cell phone number. If I'm the president and I want Mike Pence to overturn the election, which he doesn't even have the power to do, I'm sorry Trump lied to you. He has the power to send the electorates back to where they just came from in an unprecedented move. That would screw you guys over. So now if Kamala Harris wants to do it, she probably can. You guys just played right into their trap. Whatever. He could call Mike Pence. He's got his phone number. He stands next to him every day. Like, it was always a psyop that he doesn't know what Mike Pence is thinking. And if everybody just goes to the Capitol and gets all upset, that, maybe something's going to change. So bad leadership, just like the lockdown, just like Operation Warp Speed. And everybody got set up. And he didn't pardon, under my knowledge. I don't think he pardoned a single person who got set up there. I think he just slithered his way out of office, pardoned a few Israeli spies, a few Democrat criminals, Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, and said, peace, I'm going to Mar-a-Lago to send out email blasts about how it was me, not Fauci, who rushed this vaccine through the FDA, which in my opinion is betrayal. We'll get into that later, but his shining accomplishment is like rushing the FDA to put out the Moderna, the Pfizer, and the J&J vaccine faster than any vaccine in modern history. Like that's what he wants to be known for. So, okay, you're worse than Bill Gates and Fauci. I never expected to say that, but if you want that credit, you could have it. I don't think that's an accomplishment. I think that's a betrayal. And this idea like, oh, he rushed it, but the vaccine's not going to be mandatory. It's like, does anybody remember my channel in March of last year when I was saying the same stuff and everybody was saying, you don't understand. Trump's not going to make it mandatory. He's not president. But even if he was president, he's not going to, he's not going to be able to overturn the corporations and the states. And to be quite frank, he doesn't even try. At least Ron DeSantis actually kind of tries. I don't think Trump really tried at all. So it's like, this was always obvious. It's like equivalent to lobbing someone and they're jamming the vaccine down your throat and Trump lobbed it up to them. And everyone's like, oh, he had no idea. You think John Stockton didn't know Karl Malone was going to dunk the ball? They know, he knows, he just doesn't give a shit. And your whole life revolves around him saving your life in an underwater submarine that Nikola Tesla built like 50,000 years ago. And Barron Trump came from the future to save your life. It's like, it's like Pokemon for adults who just can't face reality. And to the grown men who are pushing these theories, it's like, that's pathetic. But whatever, at least if you're like a 7-year-old woman, it's like watching like CNN or something. You're just caught in the moment. But in general, long story short, the 6th event was a setup, whether he meant to do it or not. Everybody got set up and it was the perfect excuse to do all this stuff. And I have to ask myself as an analyst, like 9/11, for instance, like that happened. Okay. Then they passed the Patriot Act. Then they passed all this no-fly list stuff that's now being used against patriots. And then we went to the Middle East. But here's my thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Oh my gosh, there's a conspiracy. Dude, the whole thing was a lie. Even if you follow what they said about 9/11, they said that Osama bin Laden, we got to go get him, but we're going to go to Syria, we're going to go to Iraq, we're going to go to Afghanistan, we're going to go to Libya. Do you guys know, like, most people don't even know a map, and I'm not going to act like I'm so smart with geography. I didn't really know until 3 years ago when I was growing up. They told me Osama bin Laden was in a cave somewhere. I was brainwashed to think Osama bin Laden was like some dirty, Arab hillbilly hiding in a cave with a goat. Guys, bin Laden is a billionaire. He's from one of the richest Saudi Arabian families. He's not hiding in a cave. But that's what they brainwashed us to think. And I think they tried to brainwash both sides, but especially under George Bush, like the Patriots. We got to go get that cave-dwelling Arab. I thought that till I was like 18, until I started listening to like Immortal Technique, and I was like, oh snap, maybe this wasn't what it was. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? He's a Saudi billionaire. So what does 9/11 going after bin Laden have to do with killing Muammar Gaddafi and going after Bashar al-Assad in Syria? It has nothing to do with it. America just used that as an excuse to do stuff. People think it's for oil. But the older I get and the more I research, I really think it's for Israel. And I know you're not allowed to say that, but I think that's what it is. I don't think America has any interest or any benefit. I think we lose money, we lose lives. People's sons and daughters die in the Middle East. We waste trillions of dollars, all because I think Israel's uncomfortable because they're surrounded by people who hate them. And I don't think they have a big enough army. So I think they use the United States' army. I'm sorry that I research enough. Is that a hate speech violation on Facebook or YouTube? Probably, but I really don't care. It is what it is, and it's debatable. But anyway, so fast forward to this. It's like the sixth event. I have a hard time thinking this was just random. Like it seemed weird to me the whole time. I was like, I don't want to go. Why don't you go? And people were trying to guilt me into going. Anomaly, you have to go. You have to go. You have to go. I don't support a vaccine salesman. I voted for him over Joe Biden, but I'm not going to run in circles around him because he started sounding like a pull string doll. He said, Moderna, 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 election fraud, Moderna, election fraud, Moderna. I'm the fastest vaccine, Moderna. And I'm like, bro, I'm not going to the Capitol for this guy. I'm inspired to do this. I'm inspired to be here. No one's forcing me. I was inspired. I was inspired to vote for Trump. I was inspired to, make a song about him. I was inspired to make videos defending him. I was not inspired to go to the Capitol by his leadership from, March until January. So I didn't go. And it turned out to be a total flop. But the point I'm getting to is I just don't think it was random. And I think people need to start asking themselves what the heck is going on. And when I say it, I don't need conservative Latino crying with his handlebar mustache on Instagram. Nobody thinks he's intellectual, but he doesn't know nothing. It's like, bro, shut the F up, bro. Clean your handlebar mustache and keep your dumb ideas to yourself, okay, buddy? In big boy IQ stuff, it's like you got anomaly level, and then we got you, okay? So the least you could do is just keep it, keep your feelings and your emotions and your bad opinions to yourself. Because I my friend sent it to me. I was like, dude, I've met this guy multiple times. He's smiled in my face and he's talking shit about me. It's like, shut your mouth, bro. Clean it off too. Got a little fuzz there. Anyway, that's the type of backlash I get when I talk about this stuff, which is funny because I've been nonstop just talking shit about liberals for like 2 years. They don't even bother me. I think one like Cohen or something, one lady was like, you're a crazy man. She had she digitally photoshopped a mask onto her face on Twitter. That's like the only liberal I could remember getting that. She's like, you're so I'm like, you're faking wearing a mask on a Twitter avatar. Like, who's the crazy one here, lady? But for the most part, what I'm trying to say is liberals, for some reason, they don't bother me, even though most of the time I'm railing against their COVID agenda. It's conservatives who've really cried the hardest to me over the last year, which is just so pathetic because I'm like, bro, the reason we're losing, like, yeah, liberals, I'm going to be quite honest. I don't know what they're doing. They're like Stockholm syndrome. They're like, thank you, daddy. Put 3 masks on me. Like, I'm going to poop my pants, get the Moderna. I'm like, I can't relate to anything you guys are doing. Stay away from me. And if you flee California or at Los Angeles, you should vote Republican because where you're going is probably nice for that reason. But in general, it's conservatives who have so much to say to me for calling out what's going on. It's like if they focused as much energy on the fact that we got bamboozled in March on January 6th, if they actually spent their energy standing up for freedom, this wouldn't be happening. But it's like they'd rather like just hang off of like Trump's like limo and just like, get their face hit going 60 miles an hour before they'd ever like self-reflect on what he did and be like, you know what? I'm not so sure about, the Operation Warp Speed. It's like they cry so hard when I talk about it. It's like, dude, I think it's like a personality thing. Like without Trump, you have no identity. So when Anomaly questions him, it just like hurts your feelings so bad or something. But whatever, it's just like shut your mouth about me. But anyway, overall, this needs to be addressed by Trump, by the GOP. And if they won't do it, they need to be peacefully, obviously, pressured to do it because I call them losing in slow motion with a cowboy hat. It's like, God bless Dan Crenshaw. I know he's having some problem with his eyes or something, so I don't want to be rude, because I think he's going through something. But it's like it's like losing in slow motion, but with a cowboy hat on. And everyone's like, yeehaw, I'm going to vote for that. It's like, for sure, I'm never going to vote for the Democrat. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, what are you doing? You guys you're not conserving anything. When you sign the CARES Act, a bipartisan thing, inflation is almost guaranteed. You can't shut the country down for 6 months or 3 months or a year and just print out trillions of dollars. This sounds like a nightmare, but you get what I'm saying? I know people want to think that they're better than the left because they are, but it's not enough anymore. They can't protect us. They, in my opinion, set us up, or the leader of the right wing set people up, or just aimlessly called them there. And now the entire right wing is being labeled terrorists. They're using the Patriot Act on people. And I'm going to read a Daily Mail article that I saw Jack Wasabik tweet out. This is Daily Mail today, I think. It says, FBI combed through the NSA's trove of American communications without a warrant in its search for racially motivated violent extremists when it was already warned the practice was unconstitutional. And I don't even need to see this article, but what they're doing is very obvious. The 6th event, they're calling it an insurrection. So instead of just charging the people who did the crime, they're trying to say everybody at the Capitol was a terrorist. So how many people were at the Capitol? I don't know, 50,000, 100,000. So now you have 100,000 terrorists, and they're going using FISA, this and that, all of these things that they shouldn't be using. In most cases, probably unconstitutional, but maybe they have the right to do it under the Patriot Act and all this BS they passed on 9/11, which we always knew. I know a lot of people here. We all saw this coming on 9/11. Like I was never really left or right before 2016. I was more like, oh man, I see what they're doing on a big scale. But anyway, now they're saying, okay, we have 100,000 terrorists. Let's just do all this stuff, call these people. I mean, why would I get called? I wasn't even at the Capitol. They're trying to label 100 million people terrorists. If you don't want to wear 2 masks, you're a terrorist. If you voted for Trump, you're a terrorist. If you were at the Capitol, you're a terrorist. If you knew somebody who was at the Capitol, you're a terrorist. Haven't ever committed a crime in your life, but you know somebody who knows somebody who's at the Capitol, you're a terrorist. Oh, did you talk to the guy who did that thing over there? Oh, you're a terrorist. Oh, you were at an event one time and I'm with that. Of course I am. I have 600 million views. I'm connected to the whole world at this point. Every time I go out, somebody says hi to me. I'm very grateful for it, but it's like, do I know somebody at the Capitol? Duh. Who don't I know at the Capitol? But it's like, that's the game they're playing. It's like 6 degrees of separation. All those people are terrorists. And we're going to try to go after everybody. And Nick Fuentes is now in the no-fly list. And I want to say, before we segue to the next thing, because all these things are connected, no matter how much people want to say it or not, the COVID stuff is connected. You think it's a coincidence that Nick Fuentes is being put on the no-fly list as an American who at this point, and in general, I don't think is guilty of anything. I don't think he's committed a single crime. He doesn't deserve it. You think that's a coincidence that that's happening while the same thing is happening in Canada under the guise of COVID-19? They're quarantining people. In certain countries, you're not even allowed to fly out at all. In certain countries, you're only allowed to do you think that's random? Like all this just spontaneously is happening all at one time. You're on the no-fly list. Chris Sky can't do events. He can't be on Instagram. He can't disagree with us. It's all connected. It's all a big power grab. And it's like, they're now starting to smear me in the mainstream media. I wish I cared so I could actually talk to lawyers, but I don't even care because nobody reads these stupid articles. And these people are like, have jobs at Mashable and freaking NPR, and they have like 500 followers on Instagram. It's like they can't even get their own friends to like their status. Listen, I've been unpopular before. I've had no one listen to my music. I always had friends that were like, yo, you're going to make it some, like I could get 5 likes on a status when I had no friends. And listen, I know some people here get 1 or 2. I've seen like a NPR journalist who makes a living writing opinion pieces, can't even get a single like on a tweet. It's like, how big of a loser do you have to be to work for one of the biggest news corporations on the planet, in some cases getting taxpayer and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation type money? You have all this money, all this popularity, all this reach, a built-in audience of millions of people, and you put out an opinion and not even one person likes it. You don't even have a cousin or a friend or something to like the status. It's pathetic. So that's why I don't care about these articles they're writing about me, because no one reads them. But in general, they're trying to say I'm this crazy, kooky conspiracy theorist. Like, Anomaly thinks that the pandemic is being used for government control. It's like, oh man, like, stop that. Yeah. Do you think so? Yeah. I don't think it's even debatable. My light went out. Sorry. Hold on. Unprofessional. I don't think it's even debatable that they're using it for government control. The real debate is it justified? Because they are using the pandemic for government control. That's a fact. It's not even debatable. Is it justified? Is it not justified? That's the debate. These people are so stupid. They don't even get that. But on to that. Let's listen to two things real quick. One of them is Joy Reid. She's such a joy. I like Joy Villa better. Joy Villa is a lot more joyful. I think her name fits better. Joy Reid, she's not really a bright light, if you know what I mean. But in general, let's listen to her talk about COVID, and let's listen to Joe Rogan talk about COVID. And then let's ask ourselves if we can really coexist. And I know they're going to say, oh, it's not racial. It's like really just ideological at this point, where it's like some people want to live with 2 masks on and jogging and some people don't. So in general, let's listen to Joy Reid talk about double vaccine, double mask, still running around with 2 masks on. I don't envy this lady at all. You couldn't pay me a bill. I'm not even lying. Anomaly, I'll give you $2 billion to live like this for 2 years. I'd turn it down. I'd be like, I'm not going to live in a personal hell for your fiat money. All right, let's listen.
And Dr. Gupta, I am among the fully vaccinated, joined Team Pfizer,
Oh, sorry, I got to cut it off. She said Team Pfizer. Someone said Barricade Garage shouted you out in one of his videos. Shout out Barricade Garage. Thank you for the super chat. I love Barricade Garage. One of the funniest people, very smart guy. We got to chat sometime. That guy is highly intellectual. He gets it completely. She said Team Pfizer. Guys, they're like Team Pfizer. Team Pfizer. It's like the Washington vaccinations. They're rebranding. They're like, General Mills is putting out vaccine flavored cereal. It's like, is this? I'm exaggerating. I'm being like sarcastic, but it's like, is this normal to you guys? Have you ever seen this big of a push? Like, get it. It's oh my God. There's like op-eds. They're like, oh, I feel so good after it. Oh, I went to get my vaccine in a wedding dress. Oh, I couldn't get wetted because Fauci said I couldn't get wetted. So I went and got my vaccine wearing my wedding dress. And it's like, you are a psychopath, lady. I'm sorry you couldn't get married because Fauci scared you. This is like a Washington Post article or New York Times. Literally a lady being like, oh, I was going to get married, but the pandemic hit, so I decided to put my wedding dress on to get the vaccine. I'm like, lady, this is real. Like, this is the people we're up against. Is this even a debate? And I don't care how big people are. It's not about that. It's about how big your heart is. I'm a nice guy. But this lady's like obese, and I'm just like, this is not healthy. Like, and I don't care how big you are, but like, she's wearing a wedding dress to get a vaccine, to go get her free Krispy Kreme donut afterwards. Like, they're giving out free Budweisers and Krispy. I'm just thinking to myself, like, this, like, people really think this is healthy? Are we living in a freaking like joke? Is this the Truman Show? Am I gonna get a knock? I'm gonna sail out into the ocean and I'm gonna hit a wall or something? Like, this is getting crazy, but. Sorry, I had to cut her out. She said Team Pfizer, like she's playing in the NBA playoffs. All right, take it.
And Dr. Gupta, I am among the fully vaccinated, joined Team Pfizer, and I did go jogging today in the park. This was the mask that I wore with a doctor's mask under it. And most of the people that I saw that were in the park was packed. I would say like 95% of the people still had masks on. There are people who are getting really upset about that. I won't name them. Should people be freaking out that some people like myself who are vaccinated are still wearing masks outdoors? Should we do that?
I would love to hear his response. He looked like he was looking at her like, should somebody double vaccinated be wearing double masks? I got to go find his response. All right, so that's Joy Reid. She's like, listen, I respect it. I'm just living my life. If it were just that, if I looked at Joy Reid running through the park with 2 masks on and 2 vaccines, I don't care. But the problem is the fact that I can't live normally, and they're shutting down, travel, all this sort of stuff. That's the problem. But if she was just doing that, I could respect it. Here's Joe Rogan, who's getting smeared now because he said in his platform that's way bigger than mine that he doesn't think kids should take the EV. Once again, this is not my opinion. I have to do a disclaimer. I am so sorry, Facebook. You are the best. You're so smart. I know you guys give Gavin Newsom a lot of money. I just posted the article. You guys Google Red Cross, like record number donations to Gavin Newsom. You guys are just tied into all these vaccine programs, one of the biggest sponsors in politics and media. I get how you guys operate. I get it. You run the world. Yes, vaccine. I'm going to go drink. I mean, what is this? Is this Moderna juice? Oh my God. It's just tea, but it reminds me of my Moderna vaccine. The more tea I drink, the more it just reminds me of my jab. Oh, I got sick for a week, but that's just totally normal. It's just my immune system kicking in after the second one. But it just reminisces of when I wore my wedding dress to get my Pfizer and Moderna. I mean, oh, sorry. I love it. I mean, man, sorry. That's me trying to audition for a Washington Post op-ed because they won't stop talking about me in the media. I'd rather get, an op-ed and be like, listen, I drink now. Every time I drink tea, it just reminds me of my vaccine, and I have flashbacks to the summer of '69, whatever. But disclaimer: this is the opinion of Joe Rogan with his First Amendment, talking about what he thinks. Let's take a listen.
And people say, "Do you think it's safe to get vaccinated?" I've said, "Yeah, I think for the most part it's safe to get vaccinated. I do. But if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, "Should I get vaccinated?" I go, "No. Yeah. Are you healthy? Are you a healthy person? Like, look, don't do anything stupid, but you should take care of yourself. You should, if you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, and like, I don't think you need to worry about this."
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
But there's a lot of jobs that will tell you need to have this.
Well, that's what's starting to happen.
People are worried about them doing it for their children. And we talked about this earlier. Yeah. That you might have to have your children vaccinated. And, I can tell you as someone who's both my children got the virus, it was nothing. I mean, I hate to say that. If someone's children died from this, I'm very sorry that happened. I'm not in any way diminishing that. But I'm saying the personal experience that my children had with COVID was nothing. One of the kids had a headache. The other one didn't feel good for a couple of days. Yeah. Like, maybe, not feel good, like no big deal. No coughing, right. No achy, no like in agony. There was none of that. It was very mild. It was akin to them getting a cold.
Yeah, and you can have this thing where it's like you were saying this.
All right, so that was the big hoopla that the media was all mad at. It was just Joe Rogan saying, I don't think younger kids should get it. And here's the thing, like that there needs to be, I think, a little more pushback. Everybody's just thinking, okay, I'm gonna lay low and it's all gonna go away. I agree with Whitney Webb. I'm gonna read what she said again because I think she's spot on. Unless I can't read what she read again because I clicked the button. But here it is. If you think the government will let you go back to normal after they get their targets met for COVID vaccination, I encourage you to study history. Like in the US where emergency powers tend to stick around forever. Did you guys forget what happened in 9/11? I mean, guys, 15 days to slow the spread. There's a video of Fauci. Every time I say it, they like give me a strike on Facebook, those demons. But anyway, they're like, oh, you can't post that video of Fauci. You mean the one of him during the pandemic saying even at the height of a pandemic, it doesn't make sense to wear a mask? And then it turned to you should wear a mask, that you have to wear a mask, that you should wear 2 masks, that you should get a vaccine. Once you get the vaccine, you can be free. Get 2 doses of the vaccine and wear 2 masks and jog around like Joy. I almost said Joy Villa, but I like Joy Villa. Joy Reid, the lady from MSNBC, who we're not a big fan of. We like Joy Villa, a good friend, good lady. Joy Reid, different story, but still means well. Not so joyful. This is not like. Do people not get it yet? It's like it's Lucy with the football every time. And Republicans, for some reason, I get what Democrats are thinking. They're not thinking, but Republicans, I'm just going to do it. And dude, they're never going to stop. Why would every time you meet their goal, they just move the goalpost. So I don't think this is going to end. Everyone says I'm fully vaccinated for now, for sure. But when Pfizer and Moderna say you should get one later this year, are you still fully? What does it mean to be fully vaccinated if you can't even, walk outside without the CDC's permission? This is crazy. It's not normal. And this is This is not like, okay, we have a vaccine. If you want it, you get the mRNA injection. If not, don't get it. We were held for ransom for a year. Held for ransom. That's what you do. That's what's happening. It's not like you don't hear like Tennessee and even DeSantis is way better than the rest of them. So I'll leave him alone. He's doing a good job. But shout out to him and Dana White for using the UFC event. No mask. Good job. Keep doing that, guys. But it's like, they're like, oh yeah, we'll go back to normal now. This was not a normal COVID operation or a normal vaccine. We were held for ransom. That's like if you kidnap somebody and then take them and then call their family and be like, which you should never do. I'm just saying that's what held for ransom means. And you're like, hey, I have your kid. I'll let him go if you give me $1 million. That's not business. That's called ransom. That's illegal. I'm not saying this is illegal, but I think it should be. Like shutting the country down for a year, holding everything, your constitutional right, your First Amendment, your job, your freedom. Maybe your job got destroyed, your gym, your personal health, your ability to travel, holding everything that you've ever done in your life that's worthwhile, that makes life fun, holding it over your head for ransom and saying, hey, you want this? You need to get the experimental or the emergency use authorized would be more proper. Emergency use authorized, non-FDA approved mRNA injection, because now it's harder to get the J&J one. You need to get that, which, by the way, they won't tell you, but they have no liability for. So when I drive off the lot in a new car, I have it under warranty. There's no warranty for these vaccine companies because they're not liable, so they don't give a crap. They held you for ransom for a year. They're scaring the crap for everybody to get them, and not just scaring them health-wise, scaring them travel-wise. I know millions of people are going to get this vaccine, not because they want it and they believe in it, because they want to go to Coachella or Ibiza and they want to go to Europe and Italy, and they don't want to live like a slave. And I get that, but people keep doing what they say, thinking it's going to get them back to normal. But exactly how they're pulling all this off is by just dangling a carrot in front of your face, and everybody chases it, but it never goes away because that's the whole scheme. And I don't mean to pick on these people now, but while I'm at it, it's the same thing with the QAnon stuff. It's like human trafficking and pedophiles are real. You're right about that. But as far as like, ooh, any day now, Trump's going to save my life. It's like, oh, I'm going to Gitmo. She's in Gitmo. It's like, no, you're like a horse, like running and chasing a carrot, bro. It's a psyop to make you never do anything. It's like, Trump didn't arrest Hillary and Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Hanks like you promised. They arrested you. You're a terrorist now. Christopher Wray went after you. Durham, no one's even seen him. Trump doesn't even know if he's real. We don't have any video footage of him. And you guys were like, ooh, Durham. You thought it was like Batman collector cards. I show up to the party. I'm like, guys, I got a holographic Charizard. I got a Pikachu. I got a first edition Vileplume. What do you guys got? And they're like, ooh, I have a holograph John Durham. Ooh, what do you know about John Durham? John Durham. Michael Flynn told me about John Durham. Oh, Michael Flynn told you about John Durham? What about him? Ooh, John Durham's going to get Ellen DeGeneres. It's like, I believe that human trafficking is a bigger problem than they say. In fact, I know it. It's obvious. But that doesn't mean that your John Durham holographic card is going to save America. It's like, you're like chasing the carrot. Get the John Durham. You don't even know who John Durham is, bro. You've never seen a freaking video of him. But it's the same thing. When I said the other day, like, Fauci does the same thing to the left and the right. You just chase the carrot and you're like, ooh, and it never ends, because that's the whole trick. You ever seen a donkey or a horse with a carrot on a stick and a string, and they keep chasing, thinking they're going to eat it, but there's someone on their back holding the stick so you never get closer? That's QAnon to the right wing. That's, trust the Trump. And that's the Fauci, oh, I'm going to be free now. I mean, he literally said early on, and I want to say this because these are the arguments that I feel like would be so good, but I love to see Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, they're all coming out and saying master child abuse, and everyone's crying, but it's like, I agree. However, here's a simple scientific argument. They want to talk about science. I watch basketball. I'm sorry, I know. Say what I want. Someone said, calm down, Anomaly. You're looking stupid right now. Bro, everyone's cracking up. Not only was that funny, it's also true, but like, you're crying because you just don't want to hear it. You're like, my John Durham holographic card. Oh, no. Anomaly just said the value's lost on eBay. How am I ever going to sell this John Durham card if people don't trust the... It's like, bro, shut up. Everyone's having a good time. I look so stupid. Oh, no, my career's ruined. My career of posting YouTube videos. Oh, man, I'm so sorry for doing the same thing I do every single day. I've only done this for like 3 years straight. Yeah, I really blew it today. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I got to go. Chris said this is the guy. I'll see you guys later. Are you done, Chris? Anyway, Now I forget where I was. I gotta go. We gotta go back. Somebody remind me. So, not the Durham stuff. Yeah. Where was I before that? Where was I before that part? Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the NBA. Okay, thank you. Retirement plan. That's a hilarious YouTube name. Thank you. Okay, so I watched the NBA. I know people don't want me to. I'm bored. I apologize. I root against LeBron, but anyway, I'm watching Steve Kerr, and like all the coaches, they have to wear a face diaper because it's mandated in the NBA. The funniest part is I see Luke Walton, Steve Kerr the other day. Their team can't hear them with the face diaper on because it's a piece of cloth over your mouth. Your mouth. Have you ever talked with your shirt up? What happens? You can't hear. That's why you don't put a shirt over your face. These are called your breathing holes. You can breathe out your nose. You can breathe in your nose. You can breathe in your mouth. You can breathe out. They're called your breathing holes. It's really stupid to put cloth over your breathing holes. It's really dumb unless you're in a tent or something, or you work in an emergency room and it's supposed to be temporary for a short amount of time. But anyway, they can't hear the coaches because they have cloth over their breathing and their speaking holes. So all game, Steve Kerr's pulling it up and down because they can't talk with a mask on their face. So what's the science of Steve Kerr being forced to wear a disgusting diaper on his face, looking like a moron? And then he's got all these players sweating all over each other. Draymond Green, Steph Curry, they're all sweaty. They're all slapping hands. Steve Kerr's high-fiving them. Hey, good job, good job. On and off, on and off, on and off. You couldn't pay me $1 million to do what he did. I'm a germaphobe. That's disgusting. There's no quicker way to, fill your face with germs than to touch 10 sweaty players and touch a cloth that you're keeping over your face for an hour that you're touching 1,000 times over the course of 60 minutes. It's disgusting. It's unsanitary. It's counterproductive. It's anti-scientific. And the only science is that's a great way to get more sick. And that's a great way to put more germs in front of your breathing holes, which is how you would get sick. So there's no science. It's just people do it because they're slaves now. If Steve Kerr doesn't do it, a high-paid slave, a bougie slave. But, if Steve Kerr doesn't wear his slave muzzle, he can't be there. And he's liberal, so he probably believes in it like a moron. But it's like, that's not healthy. That's not normal. That's not safe. That's not. And why is LeBron James on the bench wearing a mask when he pulls it down 30 times? And then he goes in the game and you have 10 players breathing and sweating on each other with no masks on. And then they go to the bench and they have to wear a mask. I mean, this is like the easiest argument to debunk. I just use the NBA because it's the stupidest logic ever. And if you want to be honest, that's everywhere they're forcing mask mandates. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to walk into a restaurant for 5 seconds. I won't do it. You think I just do this for show on the internet? I do this to every restaurant I go to. If they won't let me sit down. One time I'm like, can I go around the back? There's a table right there. Oh, no, you have to walk in. Dude, I could just walk to the table. It's like 5 feet from me outdoors. No, you got to walk inside first. Why do I have to walk in? I've been there before. I don't have to do that. You're just a moron. So it's like, I'm like, stop treating me like an animal, bro. I'm going to put a cloth over my face. Can you put your shirt over your face? I'm like, no, I'll just never come to your business again. And every time I walk by, I'll look at you and call you. I'm not going to say the word on here, but make fun of you until you realize what a loser you are. Like, I'm not doing that. Like but everybody's complying. So how do you end this stuff? It's not by force vaccinating everybody. Oh, Trump was just doing it. Guys, once everybody gets the vaccine, they're going to have an easier time implementing the green passport, which Israel's working on, that New York's working on, that Orange County's working on. Everybody's working on their form of a digital vaccine passport. And that's what they're going to use. And it's been obvious for over a year now. So the only way to win is to stop complying. I wish it were the other way. I wish you could just get it and they'd leave you alone. But the people who got the jabs are less free than I am. Joy Reid got 2 shots of Moderna, and she still won't show her face outdoors. Do you guys know the science of sunlight and what happens to the COVID virus or whatever they want to call it, SARS-CoV-2 in the sunlight? The best place to be is the beach. The best place to be is in the sunlight. I mean, it's not like a super spreader event. They told you that like months ago, the scientists, who spoke at the White House. So this is not scientific. This is like ridiculous. And people have to push back a little bit peacefully. I have to say that because the feds are watching every Trump supporter now being like, did he say push back? When he said push back, I'm going to put him on the no-fly. Like, no, I'm talking peacefully, metaphorically, but people have to stand up for themselves, because it's like, it's, in some sort of way, it's not going to end. And I have to say before I leave, and then I'm going to answer a few questions, I think in everyone's personal life, you could do what you can do. That's all you can do. I wouldn't stress over it. But, if you could do a little bit, I think that would help more than nothing in just complying. Because if everybody actually did something, it would be over. And then politically, because a lot of people are interested in politics. I think the Republican Party, you got to give a thumbs up to someone like a Ron DeSantis when he does like a UFC event. Promote that and let the Republican Party know the reason Ron DeSantis is such a rock star right now, it's not because he passed an anti-Semitism speech bill 3 years ago that nobody knows about but me, or 2 years ago. That's totally anti-constitutional, but it's because he's more pro-freedom than everybody. So let the Republicans know pro-freedom is good. Stop this other BS and make them try to follow that standard. Make sure they know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is raising more money because she's more honest. Why did Trump make so much money? They need to know it's the honesty. It's Trump selling vaccines was not why he got all the votes. No one cared about that. He pandered to people who didn't even care and probably lost because of it. But I'm sure there were other reasons. But let them know this is what we like. We like freedom. We like boldness, and it's not working what they're doing. So I think it's a balancing act of appreciating what they have. If you're a conservative, you could vote for them. But this, I don't mean to be mean, but this like TPUSA, like let's get these girls to do like, these little op-ed pieces about how we need more gay people in Palestine. Like, I don't know who the audience is for that, but it's definitely not the Republican Party. If you want to go to Palestine, like fly TPUSA people over to Palestine and make it a gayer country, I would say that's like a weird thing to do considering what's going on in the world right now. But if you want to do that, I would say you can. But as far as what we're facing as a country, socialism, communism, medical tyranny, no-fly list, being called terrorists, I don't know. I would think that's probably a bigger priority. So if you guys got a lot of donor money or wherever you guys get your money, maybe hire somebody who did like deep diving analysis on, I don't know, like the pandemic and, exposing that sort of stuff, mass testing, PCR tests, tracing, mass vaccination, stuff like that might hit a little harder than like some hot chick talking about, sodomy in Palestine and Saudi Arabia. But maybe I'm misreading the room. Maybe the right wing really wants that stuff. But I would think that that's not going to help us. And that's the type of stuff like the right spends so much time pandering, and it's like inauthentic. I have gay people who watch my show. I'm pretty sure I have transgender people who watch my show. Do I pander to transgenders all the time? No. Do I pander to gay people all the time? No, I don't pander. Do I pander to black people all the time? I have probably more Nigerian supporters and more African supporters than a lot of these people. It's not a competition, but you don't have to pander all the time to everybody. It's really annoying. And that's what the right doesn't like. Like, Hispanics get it. They don't need to be baby. Just be honest. Be like a real person. It's like, they're like, okay, we know there's $1 trillion pandemic, but what if we did? It's like, just stop. That's why we lose. It's like we're always chasing the carrot. We're always playing the game of the media narrative. We need to set our own narrative. And the narrative I've been setting for a year, not to repeat myself, I'm going to be done in a minute. It's not, we're going to get everybody vaccinated, and then I'm going to beg Fauci to be free from my mask. Like Ted Cruz, I'm not wearing a mask, or I'm not going to Congress. I'm not playing along to these games. I have the data to back it up. I have the examples to back it up. I have videos and articles to back it up. I have presentations to back it up. Lockdowns are not healthy. It's not safe. It's not normal. It's causing inflation. It's causing lumber prices to rise. It's causing food prices to rise. It's causing gas prices to rise. It's causing more tyranny. The First Amendment's declining. It's just completely bizarre when, you're taking away gyms and health facilities among, a mental health and an obesity pandemic where our country is already facing problems like diabetes and heart disease and, all this sort of stuff that's affecting tens of millions of families. And then you take away somebody's gym, and then you take away somebody's hobby and activity. I have family members that do something once a week, and now they can't do something once a week. So they're going to get bigger, and then there's going to be more problems on their kidneys and on their organs and stuff. So this is a winning narrative, what I'm talking about. This is why, even though I reach a lot of people, I'm not going to say I don't get any backlash. It's more like Trump supporters crying to me like conservative Latino when I say something honest that he doesn't want to hear. But I don't get that much even backlash from liberals, because like, what are they going to say when I say that stuff? It's all obvious. But when you're just like I'm not trying to pick on people like a Tommy Lauren, like you're just, it's like they love that, because then they're like, and then you're just fighting, and it's like everybody's fighting, but nobody's saying anything. So stop just playing in this field and like coming out once a month to comment on the George Floyd situation and say something fiery and going whatever, but make your own narrative. And the own narrative is lockdowns kill. You know, they kill physically, mentally, psychologically. They're wicked. Bryson said, appreciate it, Bryson. Shout out to Bryson. That's another person who I appreciate for never pandering and never, censoring himself. And I think if you look at Bryson and you look at people like Nick Fuentes, who's on the no-fly list, they're accumulating these huge audiences. Bryson, thank you for the very nice super chat. He's making good music and he's saying what he thinks. Like people don't need to be babied. And I think, when Bryson says certain things and when Nick says certain things, instead of debating them and being like, listen, I don't agree with that. It's like, you're a racist, you're a homophobe. It's like, it's so cringy. I don't know. Even when I debated Young Pharaoh, he was saying things about my race. I never said, you're a racist. Like it's just such a weird way to like, okay, why I have to say why I think what he's saying is untrue, even if he's saying something about my ethnicity. It's not like you hate me and I don't know. It's like it's cringy. Thank you, Bryson. Appreciate you never backing down in what you believe. 18 RLX said, I like the Trump song better than the talk show, to be honest. I appreciate it. I saw on YouTube my Bob Ross song is the most searched thing. It made me sad because I spent so much time doing this news stuff and people still want to hear my music. And then I put out a song and everybody was like, shut up, Anomaly. Shut up and get back to the news stuff. I don't mind when people don't like my music, but I block people when they try to tell me what to do. Like, if you say, hey, I don't like your song or whatever, it's like, whatever. I don't really care. I'm not like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, oh no, I'm going to stop rapping. But like somebody will be like, Anomaly, shut up and get back to the news videos. Like they're like, psh, and I'm just like, yes, master. It's like, dude, I'm not your slave. It's like, you don't have to like the music, but there's a way to say it. And there's a way to just come off like a dickhead. It's like, Anomaly, you'll never do anything. It's like, I don't need to brag to make myself feel better. But, last year I played Sturgis. It was probably one of the biggest shows of the whole year by default. It's like an asterisk because they closed everything down. But I did a show in front of like, I don't know, 100,000 people. Like I'm doing okay for somebody who barely even raps. I don't even drop that much music. But you're like, quit now. You'll never do anything. I'm doing everything I want to do and more. And I don't even want to do it. Like I'm not, if I wanted to drop 5 albums, I drop 5 albums. And I probably will at a certain point. But, if Bryson's still here, Bryson, I was thinking I hit you up on Telegram, but you probably don't use it that much. This was like weeks ago. I just remember now that you super chatted if you're still here. I wanted to do a song with you about masks. Like, I don't know what it is, like a love song to a chick, but like she's not in a mask or something. It would trigger the media so hard. They'd be like, just like a basic song telling a woman, how lovely she looks because her face is showing. I think that would be pretty epic. Or something with the mask thing, because I'm just so tired of the mask. Born too late. Thank you, Seth. Keep speaking the truth. Appreciate you. I'm down. Yeah, I should have just texted you. I think I hit you up on like Telegram, but you probably just don't use it that much. But I like, it was like nighttime or something. I thought about it. I was like some sort of like some mask song, but I think it'd be funny. Like it would be so basic, just like, you're showing your face, you look good with your teeth out or something. Like we can make it cooler than that. But like they would just be like, oh, like that's how crazy these people are becoming. They hate your smile. They hate your face. I had some lady digitally Photoshop a fake mask on her Twitter avatar. It's like, lady, you can't catch COVID on Twitter digitally. Like what you think Photoshopping a mask on your avatar is going to stop someone from catching COVID? These people are like full-blown psychopaths. And that's why, I don't want to split up the country. Like I love people. But I think we're stronger together. United we stand, divided we fall. But at a certain point, I don't know. I think it's worth considering like, hey, in all due respect, Joy Reid, listen, you look cool, sometimes or whatever. If you want to live this way, that's fine. But like, can we figure out a way to work together as a nation, but not be around each other? I don't want to live around these people. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, we got to like set boundaries or something. Like you guys, I guess we're kind of doing that now, but like they got to stop. It's bizarre. Like, I don't want to live in a world where I can't go for a jog. I mean, I would never listen to them anyway, but it's like, you guys want to live this way? Maybe we'll figure it out, and we'll set a line and we'll build a wall, and our side, we can line it with a bunch of like military and police officers, and you guys could line it with like meth addicts and homeless people or whatever. And, we'll figure it out. I don't know. it's far off, but at a certain point, I don't know how this is gonna like work. I don't know. Like, it reminds me, I've already said enough in this live stream to get me kicked off, but it reminds me of this Farrakhan interview. It's one of my favorite interviews. I know people are going to hate me for it, but it's Louis Farrakhan and Mike Wallace. It's an old interview from like the 90s when he was on CNN. It's actually a really good interview. I would say way better than anything they've done recently, CNN. But they were talking about certain things. It was racial stuff, but he was saying like, he's like, do you want to split up? And he was like, no. He's like, I would be down to reconcile. And Farrakhan said, I would reconcile, but he's like, if we can't reconcile, then I would be down to split up. It just reminded me of that, where it's like, I don't want the country to divide politically or divide like maskies and no maskies, but it's like, can we reconcile? We need to be adults. Like, I don't think the same way that Chuck Schumer thinks. I don't think that. I'm not mad at AOC. Okay. Do I sound angry? I'm not angry, but she's always angry at me. So at a certain point, we have to sit down like adults and shake hands and say, listen, you think this way. I think this way. That's okay. It's all love, but like, can we reconcile? Then let's reconcile. And if we can't reconcile, then we have to figure out a solution, because we can't just keep living this way. And the media can't just keep doing this to our country. It's not sustainable. They're so wicked. I don't know if that's beyond my reach and I should just leave it up to God. But as a human with, somewhat of free will, I'm just like, can we have a real discussion about what's going on? And if we can't reconcile, I think it's time to just, I think the conservative side would be safer, cleaner, more fun, and it would just be like a blast. I don't think everybody would be up each other's alley. And on the right wing, you have a lot of people who don't care about race, who just want to be left alone. And then you have some people who do care about race. But here's the kicker. In my perspective, I know there'd be problems. I'm not saying it'd be a utopia, but if there were a conservative side of the country, say this happened, I'm playing Sims in my head, okay? Conservative side, you have the 100 million people who don't care about race. Most people don't. They just want to get along. And then you're going to have the black and the white conservatives who do care about race. They could do whatever they'd want to do on our side and no one would care. That I feel like it would be perfect. Like the Fuentes crowds, if they wanted to say, listen, we're thinking ethnically, that's fine. Like, you could do your thing. And then, and then if there were black conservatives, like, we're thinking ethnically, I don't think conservatives would even care. That's why, like, Farrakhan's, when people are like, he wants to segregate, I don't care. I really don't care. As long as, like, give them a space to do it. I don't know. I'm not like, I don't want to do that per se, but if they would want to in a perfect world, like everybody, I think forcing people to do things they don't want to do is bad. Like, AOC wants to live that way. You go over here. We'll go over here. And on the conservative side, I don't think there'd be that much racial tension at all. I think 90% of conservatives don't even care about race. And the 10% that do, or maybe it's more, they could do their own thing. And I think people would respect each other and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. There'd be problems. But if we could do a maskies on one side, no maskies on the other side, to me, the left side is going to get obliterated within 5 years. Simulation in my head. The left side, homelessness, trash, degeneracy, filth, disgust. It would just be like Sodom and Gomorrah times 1,000. And then the right side, I feel like, would be safe, clean, nice. You'd have clubs. You'd have Nashville. It would be a blast. Maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking. But someone said racial tension is fabricated for the most part. For sure. I always go back to this because I know Farrakhan is like the number one enemy of the right wing. Farrakhan talked to Alex Jones one time. And it was like, you have Farrakhan, black, Nation of Islam. He's actually part white. People don't know that, but Farrakhan has a little bit of white in him. I know these things. But, you would think Alex Jones and Farrakhan, they're, Christian, white, black, Islam. They got along perfectly because without the media, it is fabricated. You could put, I'm going to go out and say, you could put David Duke in the room with Louis Farrakhan and they would get along more than Don Lemon with Bryson Gray. And that's not for any other reason besides that's all the media does. Even the most race-based people on the planet could have a conversation respectfully easier than the media. You're totally right, Bryson. When I see some of these people talk to each other outside of the media's control, they're like, yeah, no, we totally disagree, but whatever, And then when that's a statement, but it's like, I guarantee you, Farrakhan and David Duke, someone who cares about black people, someone who cares about white people, you put them in a room and have a 2-hour discussion, it's way more civilized than Don Lemon and anybody on the right wing, regardless of how, non-race based they are, because the media loves to just set you up. It's like, so, you can't even get there. Like, so you're a racist, sexist, xenophobic, supremacist. It's like they have like a setup. And when they can't trap you, they melt down. Sometimes they kick you off. You ever seen that on CNN where they just kick you off the air? Like someone's crushing them and it's like, and they're like, oh, sorry. They're like, we had a technical. It's like, you didn't have a technical difficulty. Someone was destroying your narrative and you had to click a button because they were going to wake up your audience. Like you got people in a daze. It's crazy. Someone said only losers follow Fauci. I mean, he's like a false god. He's like a wicked man. Like it's a religion. It's like people are waiting for him to tell them what to do. You don't have to wear a mask outdoors. You don't have to wear one indoors. I went to Sturgis with 300,000 people. I never even caught a cold. I've been traveling the U.S. more than I have in my whole life. I'm fine. I mean, wash your hands, but it's crazy that people are like bowing on the altar of Fauci, just like, when can I be free? It's literally slavery. And I'm not afraid like people are like, you can't compare it. There's different elements of it. Like what happened in Libya, what happened in the 1700s, what happened in World War II. There's different styles of violence and, stuff going on. But as far as what would you call it when somebody takes away your business, takes away your job, takes away your park, takes away your beach, takes away your access to resources and enslaves your mind to the point you think you can't even leave the house without 2 masks on? That's like mental slavery turning into physical slavery. Like look up old pictures of slaves. Like they're wearing things over their face because they're forced to. I'm not saying, everyone wearing a mask is like that. If you're just like a Asian tourist and you like to wear a mask, or you're an American and you just feel that way, sometimes it's one thing, but this is not optional. This is mandatory, forcing people to do these things despite how little of an impact it has in a positive sense, but whatever. Take a few more and then I'm going to take off. Thank you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Someone said Newsom needs to be kicked out. Well, the recall is going through. It's official. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I'm going to try to interview Caitlyn Jenner because I think I have a plug of someone who can give me the interview. Something doesn't feel, I mean, obviously, but I'm just saying like, it almost like before that, I'm thinking who's going to be the Republican to really go up against Newsom. You can't have 8 Republicans. I know Major, this person, that person. I know John Cox, San Diego. Everybody wants to run. And I'm not telling people not to run or who to run. But at the end of the day, you have 8 conservatives. You're going to lose. That's the math. I've seen in special elections, guys, this isn't a normal election. It's a special elections. In special elections, you have 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. The Democrat wins in a Republican area. I just saw it happen in my area. You can't have 8 Republicans run. If you can get 1 Republican, you could win. So I'm thinking, who's going to be the Republican? And out of nowhere, Caitlyn Jenner comes out. So she's going to make it like impossible, or he, whatever you want to say. People got mad at me for saying she, but I don't know what now. Now just going to stand there. I don't know. That it's, to me, it seems like a setup. I don't know. Maybe not, but it just seems like a blockage where like now there's not going to be like a serious. No one takes Caitlyn seriously. Like the left wing hates Caitlyn Jenner, and the right wing is like a little bit skeptical for the most part. So who is that pandering to? Like no LGBT people are looking at Caitlyn Jenner like, oh, I'm going to vote Republican. They hate Republicans. So I don't know. It seems like a setup to just like block the seat. I'm not saying it's purposeful, but I'm like strategically, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, I don't know. It's a wild card. I feel like I didn't want there, but we'll see. Someone said total setup. It will. She's a rhino. I don't know if a rhino, I mean, yeah, Republican in name only. I don't even know what the agenda is. I don't know. It's just like Caitlyn Jenner hasn't been in the press in 3 years. It was like, I'm transitioning. And then everyone, do you remember when she transitioned and it was like, I'm Bruce, I'm Caitlyn. And it was like, ESPN, they gave her an award immediately. I thought it was like Woman of the Year. Didn't they give woman? I just remember at the time, I thought it was very suspicious because it was like literally the second, there's like armless like Marines and stuff, and they're like giving it to Caitlyn Jenner. I was like, that's a little bit weird how they just gave the award real quick and then disappears for 3 years, comes back, And all of a sudden it's like, I'm running for president. I'm like, where have you been over the last 2 years? I haven't seen a tweet or anything. Maybe there was and no one cared, but I don't know. Something definitely doesn't feel right about it. Cause like Republicans, it just makes it seem very like jokey, you know? I don't know. We'll see what happens, but someone said, I'm not reading that comment, but I'm not even going to read that comment. I'm not, I plead in the fifth or 1 through 5th. I'm pleading them all. Someone said intentional wrench. Yeah, it just feels that way to me, right? I'm not going to say so. I'm going to read a Caitlyn Jenner tweet real quick. And I want to interview. I want to give a fair shake. It said, "You're welcome, Gavin. I'm glad I'm such a fundraising asset to your team. Recall Gavin Newsom." It says, Caitlyn Jenner inadvertently gives Gavin Newsom a $300,000 gift. And Caitlyn Jenner tweeted, "You're welcome, Gavin. I'm glad I'm fundraising an asset to your team." So she's trying to be, I guess, like sarcastic, like, haha, I'm so glad I'm fundraising for you. But you can't really afford to do that because it's not like you're this Republican figure that everybody knows and trusts. You're Caitlyn Jenner. You haven't even been in the press in 3 years. 5 years ago, you were Bruce Jenner. You win an ESPN award. You get out, you go away, you come back. You're running under Republican and you're being sarcastic about giving Gavin Newsom money. It's a little bit odd. I don't know. I wouldn't even say that. And people trust me probably more than her as far as on the right wing. Like, I wouldn't run for governor and be like, tee hee hee, haha, I gave Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez more money. I wouldn't say that at all. I'd be like, if me being here is getting her more money, I got to figure out how to not give her more money because that doesn't make, you know, I would never say that even if I was like super trusted among Republicans. So red flag for sure. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I don't want Gavin Newsom to win, but it's something doesn't feel right. It feels like a wrench. Someone said Arnold the Freemason really likes Jenner. Is he a Freemason or are you just saying that? At this point, I don't know. Does he like Caitlyn Jenner? I don't know that either. And when I say that, I'm not like pandering. I just make sure if I read people's comments, I want to be clear that I'm reading the comment because, like, I don't want to be held liable or accountable for what other people are saying. Not because I'm afraid to say it, but I don't like people. Someone yesterday was like, "Why don't you say what David Icke is saying?" I'm like, I say what I know and what I can say. I'm not going to make a claim I can't back. So if I read a comment, that's why I'm doing it. Not to pander, but like, I'm like, that's their comment. I know nothing about that. If I want to research it, I'll figure it out. But you get it. Let me see. Someone said you are not just a news analyst. You're no different than any other news. Prove me wrong, said Beverly. Hold on. Let me read that again. You are not just a news analyst. That's a fact. You're no different. You spelled "you're" wrong, but I'll forgive you. You're no different than any other news. Prove me wrong. Well, you said you're not just a news analyst. That's true. I'm a news analyst. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm an athlete. I'm a friend. You know, I wear different hats. Hold on, that's good. I wear different hats, but I'm no different than any other news. I have to prove that to you now. I mean, I think people who watch can clearly tell I'm different than other news, but it's like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Do you see this on CNN? Do you see people in the middle walk off and pull on a different hat? So clearly, even if you don't like it, it's a little bit different. So I don't know. You got a bad attitude. Anyway, dreamrare.com. These are the beanies. These are the white hats. This is the "Is Thinking Illegal Yet?" You can't see it on Facebook, but it says "Is Thinking Illegal Yet?" Your post goes against community guidelines. It's a tank top. Way too jacked for the gulags. They might be getting sold out soon, but I'll buy more. You get it. Dreamrare.com. Someone said, "Stop your lies about Masons." Bro, you didn't even listen to what I said. See, this is why I do it. I talk about things and people get mad at me. I'm reading a comment and he was calling Arnold Schwarzenegger a Freemason. I'm not lying about Masons. I read a comment that he said, and I literally specifically said, I don't even know if that's true about Arnold or not because I haven't done that much research on Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I don't even know if he's affiliated with that. So I said nothing bad about it. I said nothing pro it. And like I said, I'm not doing that to sit on the fence and pander to you. I speak about what I know. So if I read a comment that somebody accuses Arnold of doing something, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I believe that even though I don't know anything about it. I say, I don't know about it. So I didn't lie about Masons. I read a comment. And for that reason, people like you, I said, I don't even know if that's true or not. I'm just going through comments and reading them. And, you know, if I really cared enough, I would like spend a half hour and see if that's even true or not. I don't believe every single comment I read. I mean, I have a pretty smart audience. I think most people who follow me are not, you know, not liars, but I can't just like read comments and be like, oh yeah, I'll just believe that. So I never said that. It's like people freak out from both sides, whatever. Someone said your audience has ADHD. LOL. Maybe, I don't know. I think we all have a little bit of like, you know, attention problems now, but I don't think everybody needs pills in their face all the time. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate it. Someone says, somebody fact check it right now. I mean, you can. You definitely can. I don't feel like doing it, honestly. I can say this, though. I do like Jingle All the Way. Have you guys ever seen that? It's a Christmas movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. My favorite line in that, if you've seen Jingle All the Way, he says, Ted, put the cookie down now. That was a terrible Arnold impression, but you get it. I'm tired. Put the cookie down, Ted. If you know what I'm talking about, it's funny. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. It's not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. It's okay. Sarah said, I think you're on the mark on all this. Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. All right, we'll see what's on Facebook. I'm going to look at some of the star comments on Facebook. Sorry, I've neglected you for so long. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Latesha. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Eli. I'm going to read this. Eli said, do you think there's a legitimate push for people to take the Pfizer and Moderna above J&J? That's a good question. I think, you know, definitely the J&J one got for a little bit. I don't know the politics behind that. I don't know the exact data behind it as far as like, you know, if it's really that much worse than the mRNA shots for Moderna and Pfizer. But I'll say this, I think, you know, there's always going to be power battles going on. You know, like it's the worst conspiracy theory is thinking that no world leader would take advantage of a pandemic like this. Like, duh, you know, what history books are you guys reading? Human civilization is a story after story of conquest, conquering, running away from tyranny, fighting tyranny. That's all of like modern human history. So you're talking about during the biggest economic implosion in the world, in modern history, that there's going to be no power grabs. The media is so disgusting. That's why every time I go live, I just call them losers and disgusting, fraudulent scam artists, because they need to hear it. They should feel pathetic for being, you know, water carriers and bootlickers for the establishment. Like, duh, somebody's going to take advantage of this pandemic. But to get to your question, you know, I think if you work for Pfizer, or if you're Pfizer and you're Moderna, do you have more, you know, do you want them to take your product, or do you want them to take the Johnson & Johnson product? And if you look up Moderna seems to be the one before, like Pfizer's a company. Look up their history. Google Pfizer criminal history. You know, that'll be a fun one. And same with Johnson & Johnson. But anyway, you know, Moderna, I don't believe, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe they've had a product before this. Bill Gates has been backing Moderna for years. If you look at the Moderna vaccine, I'm just going to read because I don't want to misspeak. Moderna, I'm just going to read it off the thing. This is from Axios, June 25th, 2020. It says, the NIH claims joint ownership of the Moderna coronavirus vaccine. So the NIH, which I believe is Fauci, not the head of the NIH, is that not his role? I believe it is. They own the Moderna vaccine. And, you know, people like RFK have been getting deleted off of social media and stuff, but you know, I can't say everything he's saying is right because I don't know all the facts and data, but I do know he's been saying for years that a lot of these vaccines are owned by the government. They have patents on them, or they have part ownership. So this just proves what he was saying right to some extent. I don't know everything he's ever said, but you know, the NIH claims joint ownership over the Moderna coronavirus vaccine. So, you know, if the government owns the Moderna vaccine, and Ivanka Trump said that Trump signed a deal in January before March with Moderna. That's what Ivanka Trump tweeted. And Fauci's administration, or Fauci's agency, owns part of it. Are they going to have more of an incentive for you to get that one over the other one? I mean, I would assume that's kind of how the world works. But if you say that, they're like, no, that's a conspiracy theory. All of human history is war and conquest and corruption, except for now. after Hitler and Stalin, it all just went perfect and the world's just a beautiful butterfly, except for Trump. He's evil, but everybody else is totally fine. And there's nothing crazy about this at all. I mean, imploding economies and, taking away all of your rights and freedoms, that's just part of public health. Like, how dumb are people? It's so crazy. I feel like I try to not overwhelm people because, like, I don't want to drag people into this world of freaking out all the time. To be quite frank, I don't freak out all the time, but it does get kind of alarming. If this were, you ever drive one of the new cars and like you're backing up and it's like, beep, 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 beep. Like, it doesn't do that to piss you off. It does it because it's like, bro, if you back up any further, you're going to damage your brand new car. So that's kind of like my day. I enjoy myself. I'm not like a psycho freaking out all the time over politics. I live a great life. I'm very blessed, but it's my beepers are always going off because I feel like beep, 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 beep. It's like, do you guys not see this? Like, I'm not trying to freak out all the time, but like, do you notice what's being taken away from us over the last year? 2019 versus 2021. It's like time warping from like a free country into an enslaved communist country. Like, it's really getting that bad. Like, luckily it's not getting that bad yet, but it's getting there. That's why we're talking about the no-fly list and such, because that's the escalation of it. So it's like a combo of like, I'm grateful, I'm appreciative, I'm trying to have a great day and be funny. If someone's like, no, you're going to ruin your reputation. My reputation is not based off of me not making jokes. I think that's not true. Like, some of my videos are very straightforward and very calm, but I'm also pretty funny, and I think that kind of adds to it. But whatever, it's like, no, I don't think it's going to ruin my reputation. I think I'm trying to have a good time, because if I just sat here and screamed at everybody all the time, which I've done before, it's not that fun. Who wants to watch somebody scream at them all the time? I only scream once a week. I try to keep it to once minimum, but you got to have fun with it. But at the same time, yeah, your alarm should be going off a little bit, just like, this is not sustainable. We can't keep going in this direction. And that's why I try to have a balance of, yeah, I'm not going to be mean, but I'd be lying if I thought the Republican Party wasn't doing, like, they're not doing enough. Like, that doesn't make me a liberal. I'm certainly not a liberal. I would say economically, I'm further right than the Republican Party. I don't know if I'd call myself a libertarian, because honestly, that party's a disaster. But as far as their economic ideas, I get it. It's like, yeah, taxes are a scam. Like, to me, everything's a tax. What do I own? I don't own anything. They tax this, they tax that. The more money I make, the more money they take. If Democrats get in, they take 30, 40%. If Republicans get in, they take 25. I think it should be like 0. I don't know, at least like 3%. And then, we get roads and stuff. But it's the same as with this pandemic. The more they take, the less they do, because they don't have incentive to do anything. In California, do you know what happens if Gavin Newsom just doesn't do anything? He gets the money next year via taxes. You get what I'm saying? The tax, it's not their money, it's your money. So the more money they take, they do less for you. That's why Republican Party makes more sense. We got to go that way. But I don't think the Republican Party is far right enough when it comes to taxes. I think if you took away 90%, the government would really start figuring out they don't have to do shit. They print money. They literally locked us in this is why I can't stand the people like Ted Cruz. I like him. I'm sure I'd get along with him. I appreciate things he's done. Thank you, Ted Cruz. But I can't stand people like that, because they're like, oh, I got my vaccine. Can I take my mask off now? It's like, bro, this is why we lose. Like, you allowed them to hold us for ransom for a year, trillions of dollars of printing, trillions. And that's your response, is not like, never do this again. It's like, can I please not wear my mask in Congress? It's like, is it any wonder why the Republican Party doesn't do anything? It's like, not only are we not moving further right economically, we've moved so far left. And I know people, I'm sure, people are going to cry in their Instagram stories again over this, but Trump moved further left than Obama and Bush because of the pandemic. Yeah, but it still happened. So is that desirable if you vote for a Republican? Were you expecting $1 trillion bill, that raised inflation and raised the price of everything, as Trump gave it a thumbs up and told everybody else to go suck it if they, complained about it? No, of course not. Who votes for that? But that's what's happening. So, it's a combo of being grateful, but like, yeah, this is not sustainable politically. I'm focused on myself. Someone said channeling that big bear. Well, I think, I think something that Owen, I've talked about Farrakhan, Fuentes, and I'll talk about Owen. They're different people, but I want to talk about everybody that gets persecuted online. But, one thing that Owen gets is like, he's become self-sustainable. He has a family, and he farms. It's like, that's smart. I mean, if it's not for everybody, but at a certain point, the only way to really beat this is to not live in their world, is to get off the grid or kind of ignore it. For me, I don't live in the COVID slave world reality. I don't go to restaurants that make me wear a mask. I have a beach. I have places I hike. I have sports. If people say something to me, I just like ignore them, or I start talking shit to them until they walk away. So it's like, the only way to really beat this is to build your own reality. And the best way to really do that, I think eventually would be like, to be in a community around like-minded people. And if you can't do that, at least create that environment for yourself, your family, your apartment, whatever it is. And that's what I've kind of done personally, is just, I have my world. I don't live in that world. And if they try to bring that world to me, I just yell at them. Cause it's like, somebody is like harassing me. They're like, I'm like, dude, I'm not a slave. And they're like, I literally say that every time I go to a restaurant. I'm like, can I go? Oh, sorry. Do you have a mask? No, I'm good. I do things. I buy jeans. I get, I don't wear a mask. Most people don't bother me, but if they do, I just say, no, I'm good. And then if they press me, I say, no, I'm not a slave. And if they keep pressing me, I say, dude, I'm not an abused show animal, and I'm not a slave, and it makes no sense. And you got to stop treating people like this. I could go to Arizona, drive 3 hours, and nobody's acting like this. You guys are acting like psychopaths, and you're going to be stuck this way forever, dude, because there's no end date. I literally say that in person, and then I walk away. I'm not going to let these weirdo Joy Reids drag me into their sicko world. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to be around you. They're like, I got 2 jabs. I'll be like, stay away from me with the 2 masks. You're creeping me out. Like, I'm like, I don't want you. Your whole vibe is throwing me off. Like, I don't want to be around you. Someone said, I heard Biden does 100 push-ups every morning. Are you being sarcastic or honest? If he does, that's shocking. I'm surprised he remembers how to do push-ups, but if he does, that's impressive. I heard that Washington Post or New York Times, one of them, was ending fact-checking. Is that true? They're like, oh, Joe Biden's in. I guess we don't have to fact-check anymore. They're so obvious. They're such snakes. It's ridiculous. And then I actually do a fact-check. I'm like, fact-check, Jen Psaki lied, and they try to ruin my life. They got NPR coming at me, Facebook taking things away from me. Now I got Mashable, Atlantic, Chelsea Clinton. It's like, okay, let's slow it down a little bit. This escalated a little much. All I said was Jen Psaki told a lie, and she did. Not only do they not fact check Joe Biden, but if you do fact check Joe Biden, they hate you for it. And this is why it annoys me when I don't mean to keep getting into this, but I'm too honest with you guys. But this is why it annoys me when these other conservatives get mad at me and they can you believe Anomaly said something about Trump? It's like, shut your mouth, dude. But like, who's, and it's not a huge, but like, I'm not just effective. Like I'm talking trash about Trump all the day. Like when I fact check Jen Psaki, it reaches millions of people, sometimes tens of millions of people. I'm the #1 post on all of Facebook, above Fox News, above Daily Wire. Not all the time, but I'm just saying I make an impact. I don't just talk trash about Trump and walk away and vote for Bill Clinton. Like I do the thing. I'm just not going to like ride Trump's coattails in Mar-a-Lago and act like him selling a Moderna is like some secret 5-dimensional chess strategy. And the 6th event wasn't a setup. I'm sorry. I said it was a setup. I'm not saying Trump knew it, but he got people set up. If I'm a military leader, this is just metaphoric because it wasn't a fight, but if I'm a military leader and I'm the guy that you love, I'm the leader, I'm your, deity like Trump. Hey guys, follow me to this battle. Everybody should meet me here. And then everybody gets massacred. He set you up. He didn't mean to. He just was a shitty general and he did something that was dumb. So they're playing 5-dimensional chess. Trump's playing 5-dimensional checkers, and just like walking away because he doesn't really care that much. So I'm not saying he purposely did it, but I think it's worth questioning. But in general, he's your leader. He told you to go to an event, flailing his arms, acting like he doesn't have Mike Pence's contact number. I said that in January 1st. I was like, dude, do you guys really believe that Trump doesn't know what Mike Pence is going to do? It's his vice president. He chose Mike Pence. He chose Christopher Wray. He chose Brett Kavanaugh. He chose Amy Coney Barrett. He chose Mitch McConnell. I mean, he didn't choose him, but it's like he helped him win, which I understand why. But it's like, you think he doesn't know who these people are? Didn't he help Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney? It's like, I think he's playing you a little bit. I think I think you subscribe to this religion of Trump instead of the politician of Trump. And it got a little bit culty for a little bit. So, but why it really annoys me is because like when I deep dive on Biden, it makes a huge impact. I'm not playing checkers here. It's like when I go, I go, but I'm not just going to sit there. So people are, it's like when I say something about the Biden administration, it travels, but I pick and choose my situations. I'm not just going to complain about it every day, or maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I complain every day. Maybe that's exactly what I do. What's up, Rez? He said it got a bit culty for a bit. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I got caught in the hype as well, but I can't say I ever got fully into it. But listen, I thought Bernie was the real deal. People would make fun of me for that are right wing, and they deserve to. So, we all get caught in certain things because the movement becomes like bigger and we get excited. It's a natural thing. It's like you're at an event, we're about to, we're going for the deep state. You're like, man, and then the next thing you know, Trump loses the election, you get set up. It all happens so fast. I get it. I'm guilty of it too. But at a certain point, it's okay, I think, to self-reflect and be like, let's talk about what happened. Maybe I'm a little bit mean about it sometimes. I think I'm funny, but it's all perspective. It's like two people could look at something and see two different things. So I think I'm being funny. Sometimes people are like, Anomaly, your career's on the line. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be like the end thing for me, but hopefully not. Someone said funny. I don't know. I have a weird sense of humor. So sometimes like I'm going in on a certain topic and certain people, I'm not saying your name, like if I'm talking about like trust the plan people with like a Nikola Tesla submarine, I'm not like, Judy, it's all your fault. But I feel like the people who get the most upset are people who it actually is. I feel like that's the weird part about it. When I talk about Republicans love it. You think I'm saying this because I hate Republicans? I think the Republicans are the closest party to the truth. So that's why I'm saying it. I'm saying these Republicans are not doing it. The Republicans who know what I'm talking about, they're like, thank God somebody's saying that. It's like when Trump was talking shit to Jeb Bush, where you think a lot of people are like, hey, he hates Republicans. Those were the worst Republicans. The phonies who sat there and said, oh, Trump hates our party, were the worst Republicans. So I find the same thing with me, just to be quite frank. When I'm railing against conservatives, it's the conservatives who know what I'm talking about who are like, thank God somebody's pointing that out. And it's the conservatives who I'm talking about who are like, no, it's not me. It's like, then why are you so mad if it's not you? Because I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about, it's like this is not working. And I'm just trying to point it out so we can make it work. But I find it like the one guy who was mad when I was talking about the submarine to Nikola Tesla's Barron Trump time machine. Why was he mad? He probably thinks that way. So he's like, dude, you're ruining your career. Everyone else is laughing hysterically. I was talking about a John Durham, holographic Charizard card. That was really funny. That was a really funny moment. Everyone was having a great time. And the one guy who was really mad was probably like, he probably has like a holographic John Durham card hoping he pops out. He's like, man, Anomaly's going to look so foolish soon. The Mueller report, the Durham report's coming any day now. It's like, bro, give it up. I mean, maybe the Durham report will pop out in 2022, but I wouldn't at this point, pandemic, all of these restrictions, even if it happened, it's like, it's a little bit, I think you got played a little bit, I don't think they need to crash the whole world economy to arrest Ellen DeGeneres. They're like, Anomaly, you'll never get it. I've spent 5 years on the message board. I mean, I used to have a girlfriend and a job. I quit. I don't have anyone anymore. I've isolated everybody in my family. And I've been researching the message boards every single day of my life. So I understand this stuff. And you don't understand how complex it is to get Chrissy Teigen, okay? In order to get Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, you have to crash the whole economy. That's just something you're going to have to do. You have to gut 100,000 businesses. You have to bankrupt farmers. You have to destroy businesses. I mean, the only way to get Chrissy Teigen and John Legend is to persecute Trump supporters and set them up at the Capitol. You think it's that easy to get Ellen DeGeneres? Dude, have you spent 5,000 hours on 4chan reading posts that I don't even know who posted them because it's anonymous, but I'm just going to assume it's a government official, which makes it weird because my whole movement's about trusting the government. And on one hand, I say I don't trust the government. On the other hand, I'm trusting an anonymous poster who I think is the government. So it never even made sense in the first place. What don't you get about arresting Ellen DeGeneres, Anomaly? You have to destroy businesses. You have to physically abuse children to stop children from being abused. The only way to stop these people from abusing children is for government on both sides to make you put a mask on your child, and which is pretty much abusive. It's like, Guys, you don't make any sense. I get the theory. I've thought about it for 3 years. I've read the posts. It's just dumb. It's like you got caught up in it because you want to stop human traffickers, which is very honorable. But it's also stupid to think that John McCain's sitting in a submarine somewhere waiting for, your John Durham holographic card to come out. Dude, you don't understand, man. I mean, the only way to get these people down is to take us down. Hillary never got locked up. You got locked up. The base got locked up. The base got interrogated. You got played. It's okay. Stop chasing the carrot. You can come back over. We could talk about it. We could you get it. It's fine. Someone said they still say Trump's going to save the day with Mike Lindell. I don't even like him. I mean, I like his mustache. I think he's a funny character on planet Earth. He's a funny guy. But like, dude, I mean, talk about, and I don't want to knock people because what am I? I'm like a rapper. It's like, why are even people listening to me? But like, he's a pillow salesman. But I'm just a rapper, so I'm not going to talk down about he's a hustler. He turned this into this. I love his business ethic, but Mike Lindell has to stop lying so much. He's like, Trump's going to come back. It's like, he loves it. Promo code Trump Hope 45Q. And like, people are buying pillows. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I think these people need to calm down a little bit, but sell your pillows, make that money, support Trump, but just stop lying to Trump supporters because they look up to like General Flynn and Mike Lindell and they're just like throwing breadcrumbs at you like ducks. And you're like, wah, wah, wah. And they'll say anything and they'll eat it up. It's like, I could be like, Trump is coming back in April. And then everyone's like, how sure are you? And they'll be like, 10 out of 10. I'm 100% sure. And they're like, wah, wah. You just eat the bread. Like, they're just messing with you. I like them both a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like listening to their interviews. They keep saying they're 100% sure and they keep getting wrong. If I say to you guys, I never talk like that. Do I ever say I'm 100% sure? Unless I'm 100% sure, because that's what an honest person does. Hey, guys, I'm standing right now. I'm standing. I'm 100% sure I'm standing. Do you know why I said that? Because I'm 100% sure. If I don't know if Trump's going to be the president on January 20th and it's January 7th, and I look into the camera on a private jet like Mike Lindell and say, guys, Trump's going to be in the office, I'm 100% sure, and Mike Lindell says I'm 10 out of 10 on Alex Jones' show, they're liars. They feel good to just lie, and then they never even apologize because people eat it up. It's just a weird thing to do. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sure me and Mike Flynn and, Mike Lindell would get along and have a great time, but like 100% sure means you're 100% sure. Like, I'm 100% sure this is the Communist Manifesto. I'm 100% sure, this is Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. I'm 100% sure because I could see it, and it's like, that's 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure of how much liquid's in this cup because I don't know. I haven't measured it. That's what percentages mean. If anyone watches Texas Hold'em, when you're 100% sure that you won, the hand's over. It's over. You don't say you 100% won if the hand's not over. Nothing works that way. So I think at a certain point, I think they need to stop lying to Trump supporters. I don't know. Just be more honest. But I guess there's an audience for that. I feel bad. If it was just fun, I feel bad. You know how many MAGA moms like love that stuff? I run into people all the time and they're like, oh my God, did you hear Mike Lindell? And I'm like, yeah, what did he say? They're like, he said he's 100% sure Trump's going to be back in April or March or May. And I'm like, bro, how many times have you been wrong? I feel so bad for these people. Like, I'm not mad at I'm just like mad for like these people clinging on. Like, I watch X22 report every day. He's going to come back. And I'm like, dude, you're like hurting these people. They're in this like game or something, but whatever. Hopefully they're having a good time because I am. Someone said Q was Ron Watkins. I don't know who Q is, but I don't want to spend that much time on it. We've talked about it before. The whole precipice was we don't trust the government, but they thought the poster was in the government. So why would you not trust the government and then trust an anonymous 4chan message board? Do you guys know what 4chan and 8chan is? Anyone could post. I could go on there and post. I don't go on 4chan and 8chan. It's not my thing. But like, it's an anonymous message board. That's like what it is. So they're reading anonymous posts claiming that it's a government agent. I said from day one, I'm like, I don't think it's a government agent. Even if it was a government agent, why are you trusting government? Oh, it might be Pompeo. I'm like, I don't trust Mike Pompeo has a video of him being like, When I went to school, they told us you don't lie, you don't cheat. And then when I got in the CIA, we lied, we cheated. Like he says that, like that's their whole business. It's like psychological, manipulation, which is, I get it. That's his job. God bless Mike Pompeo. But am I going to sit there and like make my whole life about an 8chan message board, hoping that it's a government agent telling me this, which it's not. But even if it was, that's still a weird thing you're taking orders from the government. I don't take orders from Trump. I don't take orders from Pompeo. Like it never made sense. And the first couple posts, if you read it, it gave specific dates. It said Hillary's going to get locked up at this point. They've been wrong time. Never. I don't want to get into it, but it's like people are still dragging that out under the guise of these like phony people. It's like shocking level stuff. But someone said 4chan, good time. Yeah, I was never into 4chan and 8chan, but I guess it's like what, like message boards, free speech message board. I don't know. All right, what time is it? 1:45. All right, we got like 10 more minutes. So I'm gonna leave. Someone said MAGA moms are adorable. I love MAGA moms. I love MAGA grandmas. That's why I feel bad when I like run into like a MAGA mom and she's like queued out and she's like, man, wait till the 20th. And I'm like, you're going to be disappointed because you're building your whole theory based on something that's not real, but whatever. Let me see. Someone said this is a super chat. He said, there's technology out there, chip that can read others and hear their thoughts, but that's not done on government leaders because of why. I've never heard of that technology, but at this point, I would not be shocked if that was a real thing. I'll look it up after this, but I no question they have more technology than they're telling us. I've never heard of that though, but I'll check it out. Sherry said, good evening from Louisiana. Thank you, Sherry. Rodrigo said, these stars are for Chris. Who's Chris? What, you gave me stars for Chris. You gotta let me know who Chris is. Amia said, God bless you, brother. You're talking about Chris Sky. If that's the case, let me know. I'll go on his channel and give them to him. Someone said CNN has already been caught in video. Yeah, that was crazy. The whole CNN and James O'Keefe thing. James O'Keefe is suing Twitter. Hopefully he wins. We'll see what happens. I got like 5 more minutes. I'm running out of steam. Peace, Roz. Appreciate you guys. Before I leave, I'll answer one or more question, but I just want to let you guys know. Someone said, I'm a Trump supporter and do not buy into the garbage. Yeah, I think most people don't, but there is a big portion of the base. And I think how the Q stuff worked, honestly, a big portion of the base, even though they weren't necessarily believing in it, it influenced the base. When you have millions of your supporters like pushing this narrative, it like, I really think it really enhanced the cultism of Trump. He was crushing it for a long time. So why wouldn't you like somebody who's doing what you thought he was going to do? So the loving Trump was natural, but I think the Q was like a psychological injection to turn like a healthy love of a president into like a full-blown, he's literally time traveling. So if he makes a mistake, it doesn't exist. No one voted for Trump for that reason. It changed the whole psychology of the Trump movement. Like in 2016, most people who voted for Trump, I didn't hear anyone say he's the greatest person ever. He's perfect. He's the best. Like people were like, listen, he's not a politician. He's saying the truth. He's speaking real. Like people had a healthy love of Trump. They're like, listen, he's a little rough around the edges, but we could use that in Washington. It's like, exactly. Yeah. It's the best part about him was what they hated. Like, oh, he's not doing normal things. It's like, perfect. Yeah. That's why people voted for him. You didn't have that many Trump supporters that were like, I will get on my knees and bow to him. That wasn't the vibe of the Trump movement, I don't think, from 2016 to 2018. Once the Q stuff got in, although it didn't completely take over every Trump supporter, I think it injected into the movement and more influences started going from like, hey, Trump's a little rough around the edges, but he's killing it, to like, Trump is literally the deity, the God emperor who is going to destroy everybody. And then it got to this point where like, say he did like a bump stock ban. It's okay to be like, hey, I like Trump, but I disagree with him infringing on the Second Amendment. Or like, I like Trump, I don't agree with that bill. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not perfect. No one ever said he was. But like the Q people, when you say that, they're like, who paid you to say that? Oh, you don't understand what Trump's doing. I read the post and David Blaine told. It's like, dude, just, it's pathetic. So it's not just that everyone believed it, but I truly think like, they moved like how BLM and stuff, they can move the party in a certain direction, the Q moved the Trump in a direction of like, at first it was good. People were getting more woke, learning about human trafficking. And then it just got to this unhealthy point where like Operation Warp Speed wasn't a vaccine program. It was like a super secret way to fight Bill Gates, but you can't understand because when Trump says vaccine, he doesn't mean vaccine. Only I can understand what Trump says. I believe everything he says, but I don't believe what he says when he doesn't say what I want him to say. It's like, that's called mental illness. It's like Trump says everything he means, and then he says something you disagree with. A normal person's like, you know what, I like Trump, but I'm not going to like everything he agrees with. But it's okay that I don't agree with the vaccine thing, or it's okay I don't agree with the lockdown. I get why he did it. You know, it's an election year. People are on the fence about it. That's normal. It's not normal to say, oh, I don't even believe what he said. I believe everything he said. But what I do is I play this little game in my head where I believe everything he says all the time, except for when he says what I don't want to happen. Then I just replace what he said with what I want to happen. And I talk condescending to everybody and act like they're not smart enough to understand it. It's like, that's what the Q people started doing. And it was very weird. I'm like, it's okay to not agree with it, but it's like a totally new thing that's not really normally done, to like hallucinate these ideas of like, he's not really funding Moderna. It's like, he's funding Moderna. You know, you might not like Moderna. You might like Moderna. Trump, you know, he was involved in the Moderna rollout. That's what happened. But like the Q people are like, no. When read Moderna backwards, Adern, what does that sound like? Adrenochrome. And they're like, they're like, dude, I know what you're trying to say, but like, everything doesn't relate back to what you wanted to say. You know, they're like, look beyond the vaccine. Look in the background. What do you see behind Fauci? It says NIH. I mean, that's who he works for. They're like, NIH, think about it. What could you say with NIH? And I'm like, well, that's the National Institute of Health. And they're like, no. You're thinking like, we're playing 5D chess. It stands for Nixon initiates hellscape. Okay, Nixon. I don't know if you're familiar. And then they like talk to you like you're retarded. They're like, no, I don't know if you're familiar with Nixon, but you know, Nixon, Watergate, Trump, Russiagate. Okay, let's move on. Initiation. You know, you get what I'm talking about. January 20th. It's going to happen. Biden's going to get arrested in 2 constitutions. Trump's going to sweep in the back door. H, hellscape. I mean, come on, look around. Los Angeles, Minneapolis, George Floyd. I don't really have to explain it. So, you know, I know you think that stands for NIH, but, you know, Trump doesn't just put those backgrounds up for a reason. So, I mean, listen, I know that you're too dumb to understand this, but if you trust the plan and, you know, if you hang out with me enough, we'll go to the message boards. We'll read it for 12 hours a day. We'll ignore our families. And, you know, eventually you'll be smart enough to understand. It's like that type of shit was just like bizarre. You know, like that was the type of, I'm like, dude, you're talking to somebody who's kind of weird. Like you can tell me theories. I'm not going to call you dumb. Like I'm going to be like, show me the proof. I believe it. You know, there's theories that I believe or things that I think that people probably think is weird, but they're like, did you see the pen in his hand? Think about pen. What do you think about when you think of pen? You think of EpiPen, right? And I'm like, no. They're like, exactly. We all think of EpiPen. EpiPen, pharma. Trump's fighting pharma. I'm like, he's not fighting pharma. He's funding pharma. You want him to fight pharma, but he's funding pharma. They're like, oh, you see a pen and you think a pen? You don't think EpiPen? EpiPen, pharma. Pharma, fight pharma. Trump's fighting pharma. Mike Tyson, knockout. Deep state going down. I don't care that the country's shut down because Ellen DeGeneres is arrested. Did you zoom in on her shirt? I misread it. I didn't even look at the full zoom, and I'm just going to pretend it says this. Did you see the ankle monitor? And I'm like, bro, we're all on house arrest. If it was just Ellen or something, I'd be a little suspicious. Like everyone's normal, and then like Ellen's just like at home and her show's canceled. It's like, that's a little weird. But if everyone's on house arrest, I don't really give a shit if Tom Cruise or, you know, Tom Hanks lands on a plane with a pilot or something. Like they just started reaching so hard. I'm like, I don't even like Tom Hanks. I think he's kind of a weirdo. But as far as like, do I think the whole pandemic is like a setup to arrest Ellen DeGeneres? Like, no. And I don't like Ellen DeGeneres. I think she's a mainstream media stooge. But that doesn't mean that they have to lock down the whole planet in order to put her in an ankle monitor. We're all on house arrest, bro, with the lockdown. Like, that's the type of crap. And then, like, I started getting, like, blackmailed. Like, people were like, oh, you want them to win. And I'm like, no, what are you talking? They're like, oh, you don't trust the plan. I'm like, I had people yelling at friends I knew and shit. I was like, what the? Jesse Lee Peterson, what the? It got crazy. It got crazy. And you're talking to somebody. I'm not above any theory, but like at a certain point, you guys got to stop. Someone said, I heard Ellen was actually trying to put them. I mean, here's what I'm not defending Ellen DeGeneres. I think she's a media lackey, but I'm just saying if she's in her house, but everyone's in her house, you should be concerned that the whole country is being locked down. If you ask me, is it worth shutting down the whole world for a year to arrest Ellen DeGeneres? I'd be like, no. I think, the damage done here is pretty severe. But here's the kicker. She's fine. Ellen's fine. Oprah's fine. Tom Hanks is fine. Biden's fine. They're all fine. You know who's not fine? Trump supporters, Fuentes, any organizer, anybody who's at the Capitol. That's who's not fine. These elites are fine. So I get people wanted it to happen, but at a certain point, you got to realize that it didn't happen. And then we can move on, and I don't know. But I don't know what you meant by that. Someone said anomalies controlled op sarcasm. No, that's the funniest thing is like anytime you say that, they're like, they always go to Mossad. They always say Mossad. They're like, did Mossad pay you to say? Mossad is Israeli intelligence. Keep in mind, I'm one of the few, I would say one of the only people on Facebook left that even is allowed to like question Israel. I don't just bow down to Israel like Charlie Kirk and stuff. I ask the questions. I talk about the speech bills and all that stuff. So, and these people worship Trump, who worships Israel. So the irony of them saying everybody who disagrees with them works for Israel is just like shocking. And they're like, we love Israel. We hate Israel. We love to hate Israel. We hate to love Israel. He's like, we love them. They're our greatest ally. They're our worst enemy. Trust the plan. Don't trust the plan. You work for Mossad. You're like, you guys, you don't even know who Mossad is. It's next level stuff, but I find it quite interesting. Amir, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks, Amir. Someone said based anomaly. I do what I can. It's crazy, man. It's funny. It's pretty funny though. I'm not gonna lie. I have a good time joking about it. I think it's one of the funnier things to joke about. Someone said I don't worship anyone but God. Probably a good idea. I worship Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is a good man. Dr. Fauci cares about me. I sit in my room, I watch CNN, and I wait. I've been waiting for a year. I wait to breathe air outdoor without a mask on my face. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's dirty, but I do it. And I just look up to Fauci and I say, please, Fauci. It's only made me more Christian, so I have to be that grateful. Like any crazy Christian pastor that I've ever heard just sounds normal to me now. Like I'm trying to think of the craziest Christian pastor I knew. Everything they said 20 years ago, that's why I don't understand. It's like, how do people not realize why certain ideas are getting more popular? Like, it's like people are so mad at like Alex Jones. And I don't even agree with everything he says, but it's like, are you going to act like the world getting shut down isn't a little bit weird? It's going to make some people like look at what he said like 10 years ago and be like, I mean, he wasn't wrong about that. He might not have been right about anything, but he was talking about Bill Gates and lockdowns and quarantines. And so was Bill Cooper. I have, let me see if I have it here. It might be in my room actually, or is it here? Let me see. No, it's in my room. Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper. It was written in 1992. They talked about this stuff in 1992. This was always like a conspiracy theory, but if you really look it up, it's like these people openly like talk about what they're going to do. It's like, they're like, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and this by 2020 or 2030. And then they do it. And then everyone's like, it's all written somewhere. That's why Alex, I was like, I got the documents. Like sometimes he's lying, but a lot of times he's totally right. He does have documents. Like you look up the frog thing. Like he said, like the frogs are gay. There's some sort of school study that talks about atrazine in the water and like the frogs losing their gender. It's not like he's funny, but not everything he says is made up. Like he actually does have like print out documents that you could actually Google and look up yourself. But for some reason, like everyone thinks he's so crazy. Like on Rogan, everything he was saying, Rogan started searching. Alex gets in trouble when he starts just ranting, and then he'll get carried away, being funny and stuff. I don't know if you've seen the video of him talking about eating his neighbors. Like it's a little bit extreme. Like he's like, I'm going to eat my neighbors. He's like, okay. He's like, I might have to eat my neighbors. It's like, bro, you can't say, I mean, maybe you can say that with the First Amendment, but I would think you're flirting along the lines of threatening. I know he's joking, but like, if you're Alex Jones's neighbor, do you want to watch him on, InfoWars saying he would like string you up and gut you and eat you? Like, of course not. That's a little bit weird. That's not a neighborly thing to do. So, it's like I can't defend everything he says because he kind of does. He'll make shit up sometimes or just say some shit that you're like, you probably can't say that. But it's entertaining for me. But if I was his neighbor, yeah, I'd probably have a conversation with him or move or seek legal help or something. I don't know. Someone said I don't trust him. I think he sells good products, but I think I've seen him just like exaggerate. Like the core level stuff he's talking about, a lot of it's real, but I've seen him just go on rants where he'll just like be like, COVID's, we're all going to die. And then the next week he's like, no, it's not that bad. Like he'll get carried away, emotional, and he knows how to make a sale and make a hype. So I think, he does good work and he has a lot of good content, but he'll get carried away sometimes. Saying you're going to eat your neighbor for 3 minutes, that's not the most normal thing I've heard. But is it funny? I mean, not if you're his neighbor. I think it's pretty messed up. But for me, is it funny? I laughed. I like it's one of those laughs where you like laugh. And can I play that? Will I get kicked off Facebook? I don't know. It's a really funny video, but like it's worse than I thought. I watched it last week. And I was like, I thought I was exaggerating, but the actual tape of him saying it was worse than I remembered. And he's just going into detail about how he'd like eat his neighbor. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? But like, it's definitely funny enough to bring up, but it's one of those funnies where you're like, oh man, you're like, this guy, pretty funny. Yeah, it's really funny. Someone said, I wonder who's down to investigate Bohemian Grove. Yeah, that was definitely legendary. I mean, Alex, he like ran up on George Bush one time and he was just like, what about he's got a pretty epic history. I don't know. He's inspired a lot of people. And I think, he was one of the few people years ago talking about stuff. And I have to give him credit. He said things when I was younger I never heard that made me think. And I didn't even know he was conservative. He didn't really say. I think he's more libertarian, whatever. But, he's a legend. He's a legend in the game. It's just like he's a wild guy. He's a wild card, You ever play Uno and you got the wild card? Like Alex is a wild card. You get what you get. Sometimes you get the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny. He's a character, man. An American legend for sure. Would I interview Alex? Yeah, I would interview him, or I would go. I mean, I've talked to Owen Schroyer on a show, but if I interviewed him, yeah, I don't know what I'd say. It would be an interesting interview, right? I would love to hear about his life, not get into details, but he's such a character. It's hard to imagine Alex off camera. Like he's got crazy like dragon energy, man. I've talked to him before. I talked to him like a couple months ago on somebody's like Twitter live stream, and he was like, Owen Schroyer from InfoWars wants to play me in basketball because I always talk trash. I say I could beat anyone in basketball. So I've been talking about beating Owen Schroyer in basketball. So I was talking to Alex on some Twitter live stream, just like audio. And Alex was like, oh, you want to play Owen in basketball? We'll fly you out. We'll have a good time. He was talking about like flying me out to have a vacation or something. I was like, maybe that's why I got called about the six, because they're doing all the research on the Trump supporters and Alex Jones. And I'm everywhere because I'm talking to Alex on Twitter. That's probably why I got a phone call, because they're probably investigating Alex Jones, and they see me pop up on a freaking like Periscope live stream, and Alex is talking about flying me out to Texas to play basketball with Owen Schroyer. To me, that sounds like a good time though. Like people are like, I like Alex, I don't like Alex. I like him enough to hang out with him and play basketball with Owen Schroyer. Like that's the way I think. Everyone's like, oh, what do you know about the six? I'm like, bro, I just want to play basketball with Alex Jones. Like, you think that's like a cover for something? Like, no, that sounds like a fun day. I love basketball. Alex seems like a funny guy. Like, imagine me and Owen Schroyer playing basketball in Texas. I would love that, but we can't do that anymore because now everyone's getting investigated and everything's a big thing. Do you know this person? I'm like, I know a lot of people. What's the big deal? I'm not involved in Alex's day to day, but I'll shoot three pointers with him. Will said, been working in a gas station since the beginning of the pandemic, never wore a mask, never had a problem. Stay strong, people. God bless you, Will. Thank you for being strong. Appreciate you. Someone said they had drones at my house twice around the 6th. I don't know. Do you live in DC or no? I don't know. Someone said interview David Duke or Louis Farrakhan. I've actually tried to interview Farrakhan, to be honest, because, you might not know this about me, but I have a lot of different people who like my channel because I have people in the Nation of Islam who like my channel. I have people in Black Lives Matter who like my channel. I have some liberals who like my channel. I have conservatives. I have people in the Republican Party who worked in the White House. I just say what I want, and certain people gravitate towards it. So I got hit up one time by someone in the Nation of Islam, and I told him, I said, hey, brother, could I interview Louis Farrakhan? Could you set up an interview with him? And he said maybe if God intends it to be or whatever, and it never happened. So I actually did try to interview Louis Farrakhan. As far as David Duke, at the right point in my career, I would interview him. It's a shame because back in the day, Chris Wallace could interview Louis Farrakhan. I'm just telling you right out the gate, if I interviewed Louis Farrakhan, which I would, the media would destroy my life. You'd have Jake Tapper calling me Islamophobe. What was it? Anti-Semite. You'd have all of these right-wing people who you think are so pro-free speech. They would try to destroy my life for the crime of interviewing Louis Farrakhan. The right wing hates Louis Farrakhan just as much as Jake Tapper and CNN. So I'm in a position where I do what I want if I'm passionate about it. But you would be shocked to see how many people on the right wing would try to ruin everything I've built just for interviewing Louis Farrakhan. And you can imagine what the media would do on both sides if you interviewed David Duke. But that's what's supposed to happen in this country. You're supposed to challenge people, debate them, have conversations with them, and interview them. But, unfortunately, we can't do that anymore because of crazy censorship. But I would say this, if you could watch 2 interviews that are still somewhere on YouTube, because they're going to be deleted, and I don't normally say this, but I have said it before, 2 interviews that are very fascinating and you can learn a lot from because you don't see these people debate very often. Farrakhan and Chris Wallace, fantastic interview, fantastic debate. Chris Wallace from CNN, Louis Farrakhan from the Nation of Islam. The interview is on CNN. It's like 24 minutes long. Find the full version. It's very good. It's great because you have the CNN and you have Farrakhan kind of saying what he thinks. I love it. I think it's great. And David Duke debating Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. If you know Cenk Uygur, he's progressive, Bernie guy sort of, but kind of sneakier, a little bit faker. But Cenk Uygur is like a progressive left-wing person. He actually debated David Duke years ago. He took it off his channel, but you can find it on someone else's channel. And it's very, very fascinating because you've heard a lot about, David Duke, but you probably have never heard him debate or have a conversation. And you could also, I watch everything. I've seen he ran for president and got a lot of votes, actually. So you could find David Duke's presidential speech as well. I think it's on CNN or what's it called? Not CNN. What's the main one? C-SPAN? I think C-SPAN has it saved because he ran for president. I've seen these things already, and they're probably not going to be there for that long because these people are getting banned off the internet. But those, to me, those are things that like no one would ever see because anytime people talk about them, they just shut them down. I like to watch it. I like to see what Chris Wallace is saying. I like to see what Farrakhan's saying. I've seen what Cenk Uygur is saying. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. This is why I know a lot is because I don't just hate on people. I don't call them racist, Islamophobe. I might not agree with Louis Farrakhan, but I don't need to censor him to feel smarter than him. I don't need to call him names. I think, I don't agree with Louis Farrakhan about religion. I don't agree with Louis Farrakhan about race. People think I agree with him. Like, no, I don't hate him. I don't know. And I think if you see him I mean, he can get a little fiery, but most of the time when you have like TPUSA people, when they're smearing Farrakhan, they're taking what he said out of context. Almost every time I've seen him smeared, it's been a mass exaggeration the same way they do for Trump. So can he be hateful? I think so. Can he be passionate? I think so. Does he like white people a lot all the time? I don't think so. Is he critical of Jewish people? For sure. Do I agree with him religiously or racially? I don't at all. But I also don't appreciate people who just say racist, anti-Semite. It just closes the conversation. I think you'd be shocked if you actually watch them have a conversation and a debate and see their side of the story and then make your own decision, and that's what the media doesn't want you to do. I put my career at risk every time I even just tell you that, because they can, smear it, make a headline. Oh, he said to support this person or get, no, I have all sorts of books. I have Stalin books. I have Mao Zedong books. I don't like Stalin or Mao Zedong. I want to read what they wrote. You get what I'm saying? I want to read all the World War II books, what they wrote. It's not because I stand Karl Marx, but I show you this book. I'm not a communist. I think communism is disgusting. I think Karl Marx was a liar. And I think it's a total consolidation of power because I read the book, not because. So, this is the misconstrue of like, they'll try to ruin your life just off telling people to watch interviews and read, but I simply don't care. And it's definitely made me a wiser person, not hating people and just actually like listening to them speak, reading their books, hearing what they say versus what someone says about them. I hated Trump when I heard what other people said about him. I started liking Trump when I heard Trump speak for himself in full context. It's the same with a lot of people. I've heard all the stories about everybody, and some people I just don't like. I don't have to like everyone, but if you never heard them talk, and if you never read their books and only heard what everyone else has said from them, then you're not really getting the full story. I think history is written by the victors, and the victors are people who hate you. So it's definitely worth reconsidering some of the biggest villains. I think Malcolm X said it pretty well. The media has the power to make the innocent look guilty and the guilty look innocent, and that's power because they control the minds of the masses. They could flip on a dime and just play like a wizard trick on anyone. So it's definitely worth a look. Someone said, "Why are you calling Bruce a she?" It's not my hill to die on. If he's going by Caitlyn Jenner and wants to be known as a she, I say she and I say Caitlyn. It's not, I don't put it in my bio. That's just what I do. I don't know. To me, it's not my thing to just, I don't really care. It's not like, it's not going to change my thing. So I'm not going to go out. If I felt strongly enough to just never use that word she, I would do it. I'm not afraid of doing it. I've talked about things that are edgier than that, but I just don't care that much. So, I got work to do. I have a video to edit. I have deep diving research to do on testing and what's going on. So it's not my hill to die on. It's just being like, nah, you're this. Like, if Bruce wants to be Caitlyn and he wants to dress up, like that's, and keep his things or, chop them off. I don't know if he kept them or chopped them off. I think he kept them. That's on him. I'm not gonna investigate. I certainly don't really want to know, and I don't care enough to say he. But if you want to say he, that's fine. I just don't. I said Caitlyn. I don't know. I'm not doing it from like a liberal perspective, but I just don't care that much. If I interviewed Caitlyn, I would call her she or him she, whatever you want to say. I don't know. I'm not just going to sit there and be like, you're a man. It's going to ruin the interview. I'm going to ask tough questions. I'm going to ask questions about it. I will definitely challenge, but I don't really care that much, but you can. Someone said that's only half commitment. I don't know. I just don't really care that much. It's just not my thing. I wouldn't say it's half commitment. Like, there'll be people who that's their thing. They just like most conservatives, not most, but there's like all they do is like it's a he, and like they don't even do anything. They did nothing about the testing. They did no research on Carrie Mullis, and you don't have to. But I'm just saying, it's like if your only thing is just calling Caitlyn Jenner a he and calling him Bruce, it's not interesting to me. I don't know. I don't care. Like if it's part of a video and you're crushing it and you just call him a he, that's fine. But it's not. I don't feel like doing it. And if you do it or not, I think there's enough people that you could find that their whole shtick is like just being like, there's only two genders. It's like, yeah, I agree, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much to me. The gender thing does, but like what Bruce wants to call himself and Caitlyn wants to call himself, it's fine. He'll she'll be okay. He'll be okay. Whatever you want to do. Someone said virtue signaling for the right. I mean, it makes sense to protect the kids. I think it definitely makes sense to say, like, yeah, there's not 1,000 genders. Like, they're going psychotic. There's nothing wrong with saying there's 2 genders, and, you know, I'm not going to call you by what you want to be, and he, she, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think people have the right to do that. I think it's right. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like people just act like the bully in the lunchroom, and they're like, nah, I'm going to call you what you don't want. And to me, that's not interesting. I don't know. It's like, there's a way to do it where I'm like, no, I agree. And then there's a way that just seems corny. Like, it's a lowbrow thing where it's like, that's your only thing, is like, you're always just being like, ha, 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 ha. And to me, that's part of the trap. Like, define genders, definitely protect your kids from these psychopaths. No question. You shouldn't be jacking up kids with these hormones, like when they're 4 years old. It's disgusting. I agree with all that, but I don't know. I feel like some of that seems like Roman theater to me, like when that's the only thing people are talking about. But as far as like what's going on with the children and stuff, and in general, I support Bryson and Fuentes. Like, when they just take a hardline stance, I'm like, that's fine. Have you ever heard me use the word homophobe? You saw I had Bryson Gray give me a super chat. Thank you, Bryson. And Amir, who's a gay influencer. You know, I get love from both sides. Have I ever called Bryson a homophobe? Of course not, because he has every right as a Christian to feel that way. And to be quite frank, I think it's gone too far. And I honestly think that, yeah, I'm not comfortable with like TPUSA doing more videos on like sodomy in Palestine than they do about like medical tyranny. It's a little weird to me. But I just do my thing. I don't know. It's not my place to yell at people and tell them what they are. If it was my kid, it's definitely my place. If someone's abusing a child, it's my place. But as far as Bruce Jenner, do I think Bruce Jenner's persecuted enough where I need to say things to him? I don't know. He's like 60 years old. He's got an Olympic medal and one of the richest families. He'll be okay. As far as people he's influencing, maybe not, but I don't know. It's just not my passion. That's it. It's not a cop out. I just, calling Caitlyn her or him is not going to change my day either way. You could call me a her. I've had people say, anomaly, you're a girl with long hair. It's not going to like blow my mind and ruin my channel. It's just words at this point to me. Like, it's not going to make or break what I think religiously, sexually. Like, I don't know. I think there's a way for me to talk about it without caring that much. Someone said Mel Gibson 2024. Is he running, or you just want him to run? I don't know much about Mel Gibson besides I think he's working on a movie called The Rothschilds. Is that true? That would be fascinating. Someone said Bruce Jenner has a lot of medals. Good runner, right? Can we call you they? I mean, I don't really care. I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm taking this hardline stance, or I think there's 2 genders. And I think if people are transitioning genders, that's a difficult journey to go on. And it's pretty wild. But as far as if you called me they, is that gonna blow my mind? Like, no, I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. It doesn't really matter to me. That's what I'm saying. I think that's the point I'm trying to get across. Like, if you call me they, I'm not going to stop. No, I'm a he. It's like, you could call me a they or a she. It wouldn't be right, but it's not going to stop my news analysis. Like, I have more important issues to talk about. But if you called me they, yeah, I don't think I would care. To be honest, they is a word you could use. Like, it's not like he, she, they, but like they is a word, like them over there. If you said they, it's a weird way to use it, but it's technically could work. I just don't care enough to like, I don't know. Someone said Anomaly Gonzalez. Someone was calling me Anomaly Gonzalez. I didn't stop the stream and say, my last name's Gonzalez. Whatever. If you want to, like, I'm Speedy Gonzalez, Anomaly. I don't really care. Like, it's not, I thought it was funny. I don't know. What do I think about the Arizona audits? I got to go in a second, but we'll see what happens. But honestly, I think it's a kind of a big distraction. Like, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, more people are going to talk about that than this. I don't know. I mean, it's good. It's definitely good to have a fair election, but to me, it seems like a narrative to hang over the right wing, like the George Floyd. So you're going to run in circles for 2 years. And the problem is even bigger than that. You're going to spend 2 years trying to make a fair election for Donald Trump who won in 2016 with almost the same machines, who won and picked up seats in 2018 with the same machines, who lost in 2020 because of the mail-in ballots that he helped usher in with the lockdown that he himself supported for over a month. So what does this lead to? You're fighting so hard for an election to hope that maybe you could get in the vaccine salesman who sold you out in the last year of his term, who actually won with the same exact machines in 2016. So you get what I'm saying? Big picture wise, you're not moving the Republican Party. You're letting them run you in circles and never addressing what Trump didn't do, which was save the country, which was stop socialism, which is stop communism. Trump helped move the country further left than Obama, Clinton, and Bush during the pandemic, and nobody wants to say it. So who cares what you do with the audit if it's all to get the guy back in office who just put us in this position? It's a total trap. And I know people don't want to hear that, but it's like right-wing brainwashing. For a year, all I've heard is audit, 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 audit. That's why I'm doing so well, because I'm not talking about that, because there's more pressing issues when it comes to what's going on. And it's a two-party operation. So if it's like, you're just running in circles around one narrative and everybody just says it. And if you don't say it, they don't want to hear it. It's right-wing brainwashing to try to get back to 2020, which was before this year, the worst year on record for freedom, the worst year on record for capitalism, the worst year on record for the First Amendment, all under the Trump administration with a Republican Senate. The worst year in my lifetime for the First Amendment, the worst year in my lifetime for socialism and communism and businesses and freedom and my First Amendment right and churches and religious freedom. The worst year in my lifetime was under the Republican president that you guys want to run around circles around for 3 years just to hope that you could get back to the point in 2020 when we lost everything. So how in the world is that going to solve anything? It's never going to solve anything. It's a trap. It's a lie. And there's not very many conservative influencers who will tell you. It's like a cult. And maybe not a cult, but you got to understand the TPUSAs, the Mar-a-Lagos, that's where people want to be. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about medical tyranny. They don't care that socialism and communism happened on their watch. They just want to put, if they're a girl, they want to put on a cute dress and go to Mar-a-Lago and get donor money and be popular. If they're a guy, they want to go to, Turning Point or Mar-a-Lago, get cute chicks and, hopefully speak one day and bow down on the altar of Charlie Kirk. So one day they can get a contract with TPUSA and they could be lucky enough to make videos about why there should be more sodomy and homosexuality in Palestine. Like, this is like what the GOP really is, which is why people like Nick Fuentes are getting popular. Everyone's like, why is he getting so popular? Duh. It's because you guys suck so much. I'm me. I do what I want to do. You watch me and Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes, we're three different people. I'm nothing like Nick Fuentes. I'm nothing like Charlie Kirk. If you ask me who I'd rather watch, Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes, I'd much rather watch Nick Fuentes. I would enjoy it much more thoroughly than Charlie Kirk. Charlie can't do anything for me. He's boring. He's cheesy. He's corny. He's clowny. He says nothing of value. He's not a good speaker. He'd get destroyed in a debate by Nick Fuentes, which is why he has to call him an anti-Semite homophobe and run away from him, because he's not smart enough to defeat him or to debate him. So, I'm nothing like either of the two of them, but that brand of conservatism, which is the Trump GOP and all these people, ooh, Nikki Haley's so bad. It's like, bro, you're like a, I'm going to say the word, you're like a worse version of Nikki Haley just pretending to fight Nikki Haley. It's such a clown show. So the point I'm getting to is like, those are the people that are trying to brainwash you into thinking the audit's going to do everything. They're desperately trying to spend 3 years running in circles. And the goal is to hopefully get you back in the same exact place that you were in 2020, where you lost everything, where that's not going to make the GOP do their job. I think it's good to have a fair election, but to me, it seems like just a circular circus thing. Someone said, I'm going to read this before I go. So now he says that conservatives condone sodomy. I'm not saying it. I'm just telling you in general, TPUSA has some employee. They're always putting out videos saying, gay people are being persecuted in Muslim countries. I agree to some extent, but I'm just saying we have this going on in our country, and they're making, in my feed, I'm seeing more videos from them about talking about gay rights in other countries. I'm not thinking they're doing that. They're definitely doing that. That's a big talking point on the right wing. Trump talked about it. Turning Point USA talks about it. A lot of conservatives talk about it. I mean, if you agree with it, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not like product of my imagination that the right wing condones sodomy. I mean, that's what they're spending a lot of time trying to make the Middle East gayer. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, how many times have you heard them say it? They're like, these countries, they're not being treated properly. It's like, okay, but I've always said this. Someone said effing liar. Dude, I could find the video for you. Trump has said it as well. They always talk about how in certain countries, because they're trying to pander to the LGBT community here. I mean, I might have even done it at a certain point, because it's true. If you're gay in America or Israel, it's the best place to be gay. All these gay liberals hate America so much. It's like, yeah, I agree. Go live in Iran. They don't like you there. I get that point. It is true to the left here. It's like you're crying about America when it's the best place to be gay. But if you're a homosexual in the Middle East, you would be treated worse. That's true. But I'm saying is they spend so much time pushing that type of stuff and being like, we need, this is not okay. Like, we got it. And it's like, I don't know. To me, I think in America, we don't have control over our own community. So why would we try to spread that there? And that's why America, in my opinion, I love America, but America has a lot of bad karma coming its way because of what it's done to the rest of the world. America has been joined at the hip with Israel for a long time now. And whatever Israel wants to do, America wants to do. Whatever America wants to do, Israel wants to do. We're joined at the hip. We're like the same country. And, that's the two gayest places in the world, probably San Francisco and Tel Aviv. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but, we are like the gay capital of the world. So I guess, a bunch of Republicans want to run around and liberals, and I don't think liberals even care about the Middle East, but they want to push this talking point that the Middle East is not gay enough. But I would say I don't want people to be persecuted in the Middle East, but I think we should focus on our problems. If we have drag queen story hour and we have transgender sports, then why would we try to spread homosexuality over there? Why don't we focus on our problems, and then we can be an example for the rest of the world and they could follow us naturally? But that's not what America does. And that's why we have all this karma coming to us. And you might not want to hear this from me because it might not sound right, but in a lot of this health stuff, they've been doing it in Africa for 20, 30 years. And no one cares because if you don't have to live in Africa, you don't even see it. But once they bring that tyranny to America, now you see it and it's not that fun. And it's the same with the wars. They used the Patriot Act to spy on other people. Now they're using the Patriot Act to spy on us. We fought wars in other countries. We did wicked things on behalf of other countries and behalf of our own military industrial complex. In Libya, we've done wicked things in Syria. We've done wicked things in Afghanistan. We've done good things as well. I think our military has done some great things in the world, but in certain cases with certain leaders and certain politicians, they've made bad decisions. So now a lot of their bad decisions are coming back to America. I'm a patriot. I love our military. I love our country, but I don't agree with the pandemic. Am I not a patriot because I don't agree with what's going on? It's the same thing with the Middle East. So I think, if you're running around, it's the same what the liberals want to do. The liberals want to run all over the place and tell everybody else how to act. Meanwhile, if you go to their cities, they suck. So it's like, why don't liberals focus on Los Angeles and San Francisco instead of moving to Austin and destroying Texas? They can't. They're just always telling you what to do, but they don't fix their own self. And I think that was America's foreign policy for a while, which is why if there was no media, stuff going on, the progressive left and the conservative right, for the most part, opposes foreign wars and opposes this stuff because we want to focus on ourselves. So that's what I'm trying to say about the right wing. It's like, it's a little bit weird to me when I'm following conservative outlets and they're talking about homosexuality in Muslim countries more than they're talking about the medical tyranny in America. I've seen very few intriguing, intelligent, and helpful pieces about the medical tyranny. I can count on two hands the conservatives who've really fought hard against this. And there have been many, but, out of all of these people who told me how much socialism sucks and how much, how crazy it is that, Muslim women are wearing burqas, but then your 3-year-old kid is wearing a mask mandate and you're not really doing much about it. That's all I'm saying is like, I think our priorities are a little screwed up. So, someone said, is Anomaly saying we should applaud murder? What are you talking about? That's the craziest freaking straw man I've ever heard. You're like, so you're saying killing people? It's like, nobody with a brain thinks that I just said that at all. I'm just saying we're killing people here. It's like when Trump said to the news, like, he said Putin's a killer, and Trump said, we got some killers here. Why did people like that? Because Trump was right. Yeah, I'm sure Putin's a killer, but we got people in our own country. Do you know our food and drugs that we're taking? Do you know that other countries look at America like, what are you eating? Countries in Europe don't eat this trash. Our country is like the most poisoned country, one of the most poisoned countries in the world when it comes to the food and drugs. We are the most addicted to pharmacy pills. We have the crappiest food. What do you think that does to the human body? You think they're not killing people here? So do I care about sodomy in Palestine when there's a drag queen story hour here, transgender sports, and there's lockdowns where they're closing down gyms, health facilities, quarantining elderly people like slaves? We're killing people here. So I'm focused on my country, not I don't want to make Palestine gayer. Does that mean I want people to die? No. That's like the stupidest straw man argument ever. It's like, oh, if we don't go over and screw up Libya, Gaddafi is going to hurt people. He might hurt people, but we hurt even more people screwing up Libya because they don't give a shit. So it's like at a certain point, whether it be Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi, you have to weigh out the pros and the cons. You can't just go around freaking screwing up other people's countries and not having a full plan for what happens in the power vacuum. And that's happened a few times over the last couple of years. So yeah, it doesn't mean I want people to get hurt, but there's people dying in America every day from preventable causes, and no one talks about it because it's not. Thank you. I appreciate you actually people are so caught up in these right-wing people who tell them this stuff. Like have you ever seen TPUSA talk about our food quality? Never. Have you ever seen them talking about the overprescription of stuff? Maybe not often. This is exactly right. It's like, yeah, they'll wag their finger at, pronouns. They'll wag their finger at Palestine, but will they weigh in on what's going on in our country? Sometimes for sure, but not at a root level that's really going to help us. So when a pandemic happens and socialism, communism, and medical tyranny come along, you really see the cream rises to the top of who's ready for this and who's ready to really tell the truth and who's just selling pins and, just saying just enough to sound like they're conservative, but not really doing anything. So it's not, I think, why would we spread an ideology to Palestine that we ourselves don't even have under control in America? And if you want to be honest, most conservatives, or a huge portion, are Christian. And it isn't a Christian thing to do. It doesn't mean it's not. No one can do it and no one makes mistakes, but I don't think it's a desirable thing to, meddle with a foreign country and try to make them gayer. I don't think that that's the right thing to do, to be quite honest. And no disrespect to anybody. I just had somebody gay super chat me and they listen to what I say and they have no problem with it. But, I don't know that that's like, my goal is not to go to Texas and make it gayer. Like, I don't know, like San Francisco's super gay, like Tel Aviv is super gay. Los Angeles is super gay. Like Fort Worth, probably not that gay. Is my job to join a conservative group and go to Fort Worth and say there's not enough gay bars? Like, no, why would I do that? Or like go to the deep South to Tennessee and be like, hey, you know what you guys need here? More homosexuality. It's like, why? If you want to be that gay, just move to San Francisco. I don't understand how that's even like, you want people to die? It's like, no, I just don't think our number one, it doesn't make sense to me to like go other places and tell them to do something that, to be quite frank, we don't even have under control. Listen, I've been to West Hollywood. I know the area. It's going to shit. San Francisco is going to shit. If San Francisco and, Los Angeles or West Hollywood were like these booming places, I'd be like, you know what? It's working really well. Like maybe it's worth trying somewhere else if the South was falling apart from Christianity or something. But I don't think that's really how it's happening. I don't think San Francisco or West Hollywood are doing well. I think their policies are failing them. So I don't think it's a desirable thing to spread other places at the moment without really securing it. It's like, yeah, if you're going to spread that in Palestine, do you really think that's what the U.S. government does? Like, oh, let's go build schools in Palestine. Dude, we need to focus on ourselves. We have homeless people in Los Angeles, people locked up in America. I don't want people to get hurt in the Middle East. I just don't think the American government right now can afford printing trillions of dollars. Focus on our country. Focus on our or at bare minimum, leave us alone. If you're not going to focus on us, give me back my money. Stop. How can they print $1 trillion but take 40% of my taxes? Is anyone asking this question? I don't care about Palestine. If Israel and Palestine, I'm not disrespecting them, but they have a long beef, okay? Israel and Palestine, people can weigh in on it, but in our country, I don't know. It's not my number one concern to like fly to Iran and like pitch them like gay marriage or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's what you guys want from a conservative standpoint, but I would assume most people don't want that. But someone said, who cares about Los Angeles? Well, I'm just saying like that ideology is not working. You said apples to oranges. You were the one who said I wanted people to get murdered. That's apples to oranges. You're the one like making these grandiose straw man arguments and then saying, oh, well, all right, I'm going to head out in a second. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Someone said, let me see, the times we live in, I'm going to read some good comments before I leave. We can't have any independent thinking anymore. It's too black and white. God forbid we work across the aisle. I agree. Someone said San Diego. Let me see. San Diego is turning too. I think people are in denial. The roads are crap and the homeless people are everywhere. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm watching my country fall apart. Like, I'm getting robbed. We're all getting robbed. Every year they take 30%, 40%, 20%, 10%, property tax, gas tax. Guys, they're just stealing our money and destroying our country. It's not like I would pay 40% taxes if they actually fixed everything. I mean, it would suck, but whatever. They're destroying our country. Why? Like, there's all problems in the world, but I think in order to change the world, you have to change yourself. And if America can't fix ourselves, we're the ones who need to, stop trying to spread that ideology other places. One more super chat. I'm going to go. How united in anything is America if Beverly Hills can have Mercedes SUV as a cop car, but anywhere else is a no? WTF? Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's based off of, if you want to be honest, I'm pretty familiar with LA. I get what you're saying, but Beverly Hills cops actually care about Beverly Hills. Like the reason that Beverly Hills is nicer than the rest of LA, it's declining quickly because LA is going to shit, but there's a reason Beverly Hills is nicer. It's its own entity. So if you look at the grass, I went on a tour one time and they pointed this out. The grass in Beverly Hills is green. As soon as it gets to LA, it's all dead because Beverly Hills takes care of themselves. So I honestly don't care if their cops have SUVs. They pay taxes, and the cops there actually like their neighborhood. That's a nice area. Like, I'm not talking about the hills. I mean, those are really nice, but Beverly Hills is rich. The hills are really rich, but Beverly Hills is a nice, used to be safe area. Now it's going to shit. I'm not mad at their cops having good cop cars because that's a community that actually cares about their community. Say what you want about them. Yeah, they have more money, but like most of LA, the people don't care. The city doesn't care. The cop, it's going to shit. So I've seen Beverly Hills and I support them. If they want to fund their police more, that's fine because it's worth keeping Beverly Hills nice. It's one of the few very, very nice areas of LA. Someone said give a shout out to Texas. Of course, shout out Texas. We love Texas here. The heart of America. Try to keep it red. If it goes blue, that's not good for the rest of us. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm exhausted. Sorry I stayed so long, but I've been absent for a while, so I figured I'd put in more time. Hopefully I get some more videos done soon. I wouldn't say slacking, but I've had a lot of stuff to do in my personal life too. And, and I had a friend here for 2 weeks, but I've still been working. Last week I did all the, or 2 weeks ago was the board meeting stuff. But I do have a video I filmed. I have to edit. I have another one. I was going to try to get out in the morning. I don't know, but I do have more content coming. Thanks for being here. If you guys like these hats, dreamrare.com. I'm just going to show you before I leave. I have those. I have the 2 Jack for the Gulag shirts. If it says sold out, it's not lying. It probably is sold out, but we will order more. These are the God Bless beanies. They're pretty bomb. And then these are the Is Thinking Illegal shirts. Just want to let you guys know, I have a merch guy. So what happens is we order the merch. He gets it. He sends it somewhere in the US and we stitch it up and we print it. And then he sends it back to his warehouse. So I'm not drop shipping anymore. I'm getting the merch myself and we're all merchandising it. He's really good. He's sending it out way faster than I used to. It used to take weeks. Now, if we have the shipment, some people are getting it in a few days. You know, way faster, way better customer service. We got all that. If it says sold out, it is sold out. But what we do is every couple of weeks, if it sells out, he hits me up and says, hey, let's buy 100 more shirts. Give me $6,000, $8,000, whatever. And I'm buying in bulk. So that's what we're doing. We're buying in bulk and we're warehousing it. If it's sold out, it is sold out, but I will get more. If it keeps selling out, I'll keep buying. But that's how it's going. It's not drop shipping. Before, it was just like, it was a mess, honestly. I was working with these companies that were just not taking forever, didn't have merch and stuff. The Gulag shirts, it says way too jacked for the Gulag. And I want to explain that too before I leave, because some people think I'm supporting gulags. I hate gulags. I'm just saying I feel like they're trying to put me in a gulag. So I said way too jacked for the gulag, and I tried to make a video promoting health and exercise because I mean, it's a little sarcastic, I guess, like I'm getting too jacked for the gulag, but that's how I feel. I'm not bowing down to the tyranny, because some guy accused me of like supporting gulags. I'm like, dude, I hate gulags. I'm just saying if they're trying to put us in gulags, we need to get stronger. And I know, yeah, working out might not help you get out of the gulag. I get, you know, I get it. I'm making a song, but in general, I think if we get strong enough mentally, physically, you know, we put ourselves in the best situation, you know, to avoid that ever happening. Because if people are let it happen, then yeah, it'll decline to that. Hopefully never, but you get what I'm saying. Someone's like, oh, you support. I'm like, no. They're like, oh, you think you're getting it so strong? I'm like, it's a song, guys. Way too jacked for the gulag. Supporting health, working out. That's just how I feel. I feel like they're trying to take me to the gulag. I just want to, I don't want to bow down or go to sleep. I want to work out more. So that's the song. That's the shirt. You guys get it. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Thanks for staying. A lot of stuff talked about, a lot of stuff to think about. Have a good day. That's the most important. And I'll be back soon. Thank you guys so much. Someone said F goulash. No, not the food goulash, but that's really funny. Appreciate it.